My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Alrighty, this is on Santana National Airport. Engaging in what is incessant, obsessive, psychopathic patrolling is what this is with regard to the demonic behavior, which is criminal surveillance and their demons acting together. This is a demon creating light activity, walking in engineer light. Their shadows extended across the sidewalk. They're gang stalking with what is United Rentals. This is a demon stalking in the path. They're monitoring on communication devices. This is occupation of a vacant space with regard to gang stalking. And this is the fake sun that is on the south side of downtown Ontario luxury apartments, the same location where it is at 9:57 a.m. where that same airport is repeatedly stalking, exhibiting mental illness, while demons regarding the mental illness relevant to the criminal activity of stalking using commercial planes, also relevant to mental illness and the corruption of the Ontario International Airport, engaging what is stalking under a fake sun that's still here at 9:57 a.m. and then follows me, remains over me as I go what is north to the Ovid Family Community Library, where this fake sun remains, as I documented yesterday, on the north side of this same apartment complex where the Ontario International Airport remained engaging in psychopathic demonic pacing pursuant to what is gang stalking. This is criminal surveillance that they are engaging with the people of the state. Arco's gang stalking. This is a demon with impossible light. 8NSW. That's impossible light activity while they move around under what is a fake sun, and even taking out the analysis of what is necessarily a fake sun that's still here 2 hours later, it doesn't cause any sunlight underneath the structure. This is a demon, and this is actually a homosexual female obsessed with my vagina, gang stalking with the government, and furtherance of murder, 8NSW816. And they're all monitoring. This is my shadow over here. You already know that when they're driving, impossible lights occurring underneath the structure of Starbucks, just like it is here. It's not sunlight. Another homosexual, 26523 Thomas 2, impossible light across the curb, across the sidewalk, above the vehicle. All of this is relevant to engineer light, where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking with them in furtherance of murder. This is P.O.C. That's a psychopath that's gang stalking, talking about she doesn't want to be on camera, but she wants to engage in the conspiracy to murder somebody, gang stalking. That's a psychopath. P.O.C. This is the entity. These are demons under what is not the natural environment. She's here as a patron, and that's the federal case against Arco. This is impossible light. They're walking in impossible light to engage in. This is P.O.C. That's a psychopath. This is P.O.C. United Rentals, Leonida Builders, the people of the state. P.O.C. The demons that are stalking, harassing in the middle of the night, touching all over my person, doing so with regard to what is violence sponsored by the government that is stalking with planes and helicopters and obsessively, because their stalking is plain and it's all over the internet, and they're still engaging in what is stalking. They're still engaging in stalking in places like bathrooms. They're still engaging in what is doing it on video camera, and this is relevant to what is prison, where predators and terrorists are not getting out. And that includes those of the Ontario International Airport and those of the Ontario Police Department and the people of the state that commit kidnapping and criminal defamation with them. This is P.O.C. The video that you're going to refer to, there's many of them. The fake sun that's here at 6:45 p.m. The fake sun that's here at 9:57 a.m. That's over 2 hours from now. The fake sun that's here at 12:49 p.m. where I'm standing in this parking lot. And that same airport is flying over Sarah Regis, who I'm going to prosecute for gang stalking me in concert with the people of the state. This is P.O.C. It's 7:44 a.m. That's engineer light. While they're driving, engineer light while they're walking in and out to engage in what is gang stalking by going in and paying. They're doing so in impossible light activity. These are demons that are paying. United Rentals engaging in surveillance with the demons that are pacing, just like they are in traffic and engineer light. That's what they're doing by commercial plane. This is mental illness. 9WRL 700 8KZA 429. This is rampant, pervasive mental illness that is an epidemic regarding the demon-possessed population that is engaged in this criminal conduct. They're all acting toward murdering somebody together, and they're raving psychopaths. Stalking with light is all of the objective of this. License plate 49958G3. These are life-size cockroaches, and they're scattering all over the place. The objective is moving impossible light while they do so. 8XIV575, mentally ill. 5HQT981, mentally ill. The impossible light in front of their vehicle is an outward demonstration of the mental illness that is closeted by a population, but it's not closeted. I'm showing you what they are and what they're doing, and they're also demonstrating it for you while they're stalking with impossible light. That's mental illness. License 9KVM572, and it's also a federal offense. Okay, they're acting in furtherance of murdering someone else. These are the demon possessed. That has nothing to do with the fake sun. They engage in it. They also refrain from it. It's not a natural light reaction with your vehicle underneath the light source. These are demons that are targeting, and they do so while it's all over the buildings. They do so while it is occurring while they drive by. They do so. It's the same thing at Starbucks when they're driving at the intersection, just like Tracy Banks is turning on Euclid, and impossible lights occurring underneath the shaded structure of the patio outside of Starbucks. These are demons. License DC16C08, paper
This is mental illness, and this is going to be relevant to the prosecution of gang stalkers who will be subject to mental examinations. Impossible Light over there, while this demon goes and engages in what is a federal RICO case with ARCO. And it's shared with Chevron because Chevron is gang stalking as well. Again, license 6 WST 206, 7MVB 476, and 03281J2. And this is all surveillance. This is all surveillance. They're maintaining ongoing presence under a fake sun that's still here into the evening. Okay, they're engaged in what is maintaining presence, and the entity is engaged in what is keeping this fake sun over the Ovid Family Community Library, which is on the opposite side of this apartment building, where then it's setting. And you're looking at mental illness shared by the demons that are stalking in things like helicopters and commercial airplanes, and the government using planes flying over the top of my head under what is a fake sun. This is understanding, and it is a public service announcement regarding mental illness that American citizens need to be aware of. The demon-possessed, the Nephilim, are engaging in criminally monitoring American citizens like this. So in a readily identifiable environment, government that's engaging in that system is going to be prosecuted and targeted. They're going to be deported. They're going to be put in prisons. They're going to be put in mental asylums. This is P.O.C. The Ontario board is being removed from a position so that they cannot pose a national security threat any longer like they have been for years. This is P.O.C. It's currently 8:07 a.m.
Okay, license 8UNL172, psychopath, mentally ill, stalking with impossible light. This is a banner for mental illness, and this is going to be addressed with regard to the population of domestic terrorists, gang stalking. Again, the ARCO employee 9TIH 520, 8 Paul Charlie Henry 928, 87325 Nancy 1. 9 Karen Apple Thomas 556. They're all gang stalking at gas stalls. An impossible light is sweeping across the roof where they're gang stalking at a gas stall, where psychopaths who are very delusional and very disturbed, seeking to psychologically torture and murder someone, are doing so by engaging in what is a purchase, and that is what they thought was going to keep them from being diagnosed and convicted. This is mental illness that's shared by the gang stalking government, using planes and helicopters, and businesses like Leonida Builders is engaged in that and is sharing that same mental illness, and mentally ill immigrants are definitely being deported. 8U Kelly Thomas 155. License plate. Leonida Builders, gang stalking, license plate 56266 Victor 2. Light activity on the vehicle where that psychopath is using that means as audible noises you can hear. Driving under the fake sun, light activity, impossible light all over the place, mental illness, stalking with impossible light activity, monitoring. 4YKF187. Starbucks filled with mentally ill, gang stalking psychopaths, sex offenders. Keeping my vagina under surveillance. I've thoroughly documented Starbucks. I even went to Montclair to show you that Starbucks is gang stalking everywhere, including the ones that committed kidnapping, and they're going to prison. And mental examinations is built into a federal prosecution where terrorists are targeting the way in which I've shown you and in the way in which they've shown you. License plate. And it is inherent that you are mentally ill when you are stalking an American citizen using things like planes and helicopters, by the way. 8 Bob Paul Frank 932. That is mental illness that you are witnessing regarding Mike Lorenz, mental illness regarding Alan D. Wapner, Jim Bowman, Kurt Hagman, Julia Gu, demons that are in positions of leadership and they employ planes and helicopters to target in furtherance of murder. 9GDF227. They are doing so with regard to what is a citywide pattern of conduct, a statewide pattern of conduct. This is how you have LAX engaging in the same behavioral pattern regarding what is mental illness that you need to be made aware of. I captured on video not only because I'm prosecuting, and not only because state needs to be openly shamed and publicly exposed, but because you need to know for your own protection. 9DZW487, psychopath, leaving from a veterinary hospital, gang stalking and doing so. And what you understand is that the superseding pattern of conduct is what overwhelms and also overshadows any legally irrelevant claim regarding criminal presence, criminal activity you're monitoring. You're going to be prosecuted. The entities engaged, oh, I was buying gas. I don't know the target individual. Oh, I work at the gas station. I don't know the target individual. Oh, I don't know what the police were doing flying over the gas station and flying over the street. You're going to be prosecuted. This is how the population is engaging in it, and they're mentally ill. Stalking with impossible light is directly rebutting what they are stating out of their face. This is the Nephilim. 8 Apple Paul Charlie 605. Driving on Euclid Avenue will never produce light activity underneath the gas shed
structure of the gas stalls, well, they are coincidentally there, ignorantly there, accomplishing monitoring in furtherance of what is harassing and terrorizing a specific person on a ceaseless basis. Not only that group of demons that are filling up, but the same venue, that same target individual, that same cooperative, ongoing, implied and express conspiracy underway while the government shares in that supernatural environment amongst a behavioral pattern. And that next group of people, they also don't know about. These are demons that are going to be prosecuted, MUNDLGY. And the entity is going to be facing what is inevitable regarding their mental health, the mental examinations, the mind state. 8PHU 333 is at the forefront in the controversy regarding gang stalkers and their inherent sickness, regarding targeting in the first place, and also regarding targeting in the very demented manners that the government is engaged in employing. And this is what they do to people that are subject to their torturous behavior, to their sick patterns, to their very demented ways that they satiate their appetite for violence. License 9 Dog George Dog 283, gang stalking at Chevron, driving off the property and Impossible Light swipes across the venue, and the employee in there is monitoring while that supernatural occurrence is underway. License 9BFD 320, and you also know that, and you will be prosecuted for it regardless of what you state, because in the afternoon when that employee is still there and that third party is long gone, that fake sun remains over the target individual where that employee remains present in the path. That fake sun remains present even when nobody is inside of the Chevron, and they think that they can avoid a prosecution that way by closing it down for the day. And the people of the state are still going in gang stalking at the gas stalls. The people of the state are still parking on the parking lot, parking on the property, parking around the property, which is criminal presence in the path. The government has no warrant or probable cause to be engaging in any of it. And there is no law that contemplates stalking under a fake sun. 98941X1, the type of terrorism that mentally ill murderers are practicing with regard to psychologically torturing their victim. Okay, license plate 7KWN974. Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer and Jason Isaac Fields of Select. Off the top of that list, those are the select. They're going to federal prison. They're engaging in what is championing this targeting system. They're doing so in concert with the population of demons. They share the same condition. They share the same criminal pattern of conduct, the same criminal objective. All right, this is why those third parties, and Jason Fields represents a corrupt government actor who is entirely irrelevant, by the way. He's no friend of mine. He is certainly no husband of mine, not even a boyfriend or a significant other. This was a fake, lying homosexual having sex with my mother. Okay, he likes having sex with old women. He is totally a charlatan. I don't even know this demon. He's a stranger to me. He is absolutely irrelevant. He was having sex with Tracy. That's the only reason why. And because he engaged in injecting himself and defaming my character so that you can commit murder and get my money, he's going to prison. But otherwise, understand he's irrelevant. He is irrelevant. He's not a family member like Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks. He's not someone that I would even have any sort of relationship with if he would have openly stated that he's a homosexual, that he's not into women, at least younger women. He's into older women that do weird sexual favors for him and have threesomes with him and other boys that he likes. He's into doing all manner of demonic things. He's engaged in witchcraft. If he would have been open about what is wrong with his mind, there never would have been any phone conversations, because that's the extent of the long term. I haven't spoken to or had any sort of friendly relationship, that is. We haven't been friends since I recognized that he was targeting me in 2018. Okay, so fraudulent marriage to me on paper is Jason Isaac Fields targeting. He's going to prison. He engaged in a fraudulent marriage in furtherance of murder. Planning my murder. That's why he attached himself to me on paper, knowing that and planning that I would be kidnapped, because these demons are gang stalking me, and that didn't work out well. They're going to be diagnosed for mental illness for stalking in ways like planes and helicopters and under a fake sun with impossible light. They're going to be diagnosed. 8KZT529, and that includes Jason Isaac Fields. That level of maniacal conduct, that level of malice, that desperate, ongoing extent, you're going to be mentally assessed, and you're also going to prison. That's the conspiracy to commit murder with a government that thinks that they can control the court, they can control the narrative, they can control everything and everyone, and joke is on them. They're not controlling anything. They're going to prison. 5U UK 806, psychopath stalking and commercial planes are incriminating everybody. So flying over Ceres Regis, downtown Ontario, luxury apartments, doing so, making a U-turn under what is a fake sun that's remaining over me. They're not going anywhere. They're not engaging in any takeoffs. They're engaging in ongoing obsessive stalking, and Jason Isaac Fields is obsessed. So is Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer, they are obsessed. These are demons that are playing in demonic spirits. That's why you have family members that have incestuous sexual obsession with you. That's why you have people that you don't even talk to, like Jason Fields, what this psychopath represents. I don't even talk to him. We're not friends. His obsession is because he's demon possessed. He's engaged in what is playing in demonic spirits. He's delusional regarding gang stalking me, and there is no change or information that's going to change that, alter that. He's going to prison. He remains a threat, especially while I remain gang stalked by his criminal conduct, his criminal acts. He's going to prison under all circumstances, and he is subject to what are regular mental examinations. What the entity sought to defame a targeted individual with, they are admitting, because these demons know that they're mentally ill. That's why they maintain a secret system. And I blew all of that up. Everyone is looking at mental illness, and it is a banner for what is awareness. Propaganda is what is spread around in this country regarding mental illness, and you need to know they're mentally ill, and you have populations of people that are mentally ill. They're the Nephilim. They're here. And their mental illness also, which is not addressed by the medical profession because they're demons. They're antichrist liars spreading around propaganda regarding what is mental illness that they themselves suffer from. And this is speaking to what is demon possession. Satan himself, the spirit that's on them, causes their behavior, which is entirely demented. License 8AOP 029, psychopaths, 8WCV249. Driving on the street is surveillance. That's why the impossible light is coming toward me, which has nothing to do with any sort of fake sun, which also proves that they're psychopaths. In addition to the entity stalking with commercial planes, evidence that you are a psychopath. You're stalking. Okay, and you're stalking in the most absurdly ways. That's going to be presented in courts. That's going to be presented in what are mental health courts that the entity likes to abuse, to kidnap other people. This is going to be presented with regard to their mental assessment. Okay, the entities engaged in this P.O.C. and psychopathic disorders is relevant to, it's not insanity that they don't know or appreciate. Oh, they know very well. That's why you have gang stalking police officers that are feigning to be engaged in law enforcement, and they're engaged in criminal surveillance. They know very well how inappropriate, how unlawful, and how socially unacceptable it is to pray to Satan and engage in what is large gay sex rituals and engage in what is voodoo practicing in order to kill people and stalk them. They know how weird that sounds. They know how psychotic they look, how weird they look under a fake sun. A whole population, they look like cockroaches spreading all around. Look at them in an aerial view. You're looking at everybody stalking together. It's mental illness. A categorical way to identify them who represent a threat. Terrorists. A city full of terrorists, a state full of terrorists, enemies of this country. Okay? The entities engaging in this, and they're doing so with regard to what you are necessarily going to remove as threats. The entity is gang stalking through police departments, fire departments, airports, businesses, neighborhoods. The entire city is engaged in that criminal system. And you are able to identify all of them as I've broken down the P.O.C. for you. They've even shown you, oh yeah, Erica Spencer's telling you the truth. Because you're looking at them stalking with impossible light. One demon after another. That's thousands of times where they're violating the person as well. These are sex offenders that also crouch down in bathroom stalls because that's how obsessed with my genitalia they are. They want to be near me when they know that I'm nude. They want to be near me when they know that my vagina is exposed. They want to engage in what is stalking, but no, it's very demented conduct. What does the noise creation have to do with my vulva? What does that have to do? In the mind of a sicko, there is a demonic, a spiritually significant purpose in it, but it's mentally ill. You're going to diagnose the behavior that is sick. They're monitoring vagina, literally. 8UJX682. You're going to be convicted and you're going to be committed. That is relevant to inhumane and absurdly psychopathic and perverted means of surveillance, which is what the City of Ontario maintains. License 7DGR523. And they're monitoring on the internet, trying to block while they're stalking, flying over Sarah's Regis downtown apartment, downtown Ontario luxury apartments at 320 North Euclid Avenue. Flying over the apartment complex is the prosecution of that complex. Flying next to that apartment complex is the prosecution of that apartment complex. Having the fake sun next to, above, beside, engineer light all over is the prosecution of that apartment complex. And that apartment complex is not acting by itself. They're acting with all the demons, all the defendants that are inside and all around and above in all manner of aircraft. That's the prosecution of that apartment complex. That's how you're prosecuting the entire entity, because this is how gang stalking is underway. The government cannot do it without the population, and the population is demon possessed. And that is speaking to mental illness, very severely mentally ill. It is currently 8:42 a.m. The fake sun is still at the same location where they've been pacing over that streamline of planes, demonic pacing, just like they were at the Ontario Town Square. Not moving until I move. 9POX485, 8UJX682, 8EEE359, BLUDEVS 9ENG 536, 9BKR 368. Filling up their gas tank, doing so under the fake sun is the P.O.C, where the government relies on criminal presence in the path, and it's criminal. There's no warrant or probable cause for the government to engage in vicarious means of stalking an American citizen, where everything that they're doing, while they want to on appearance appear to engage in what is separate, distinct, having nothing to do with the target individual that's supposed to be hallucinating and paranoid and not making any sense and speaking gibberish, the entities engage in what is impossible light activity while they want to maintain an unpersuasive appearance distinct from the target individual. It's very highly unpersuasive under a fake sun as well. These are unintelligent demons. All they are gang members. They're not smart though. They're not smart at all. They're just gang members. They engage in groupthink, and everybody that's engaging in groupthink is an idiot. They're demons. They're lower spiritual beings. They're upright, life-size cockroaches, pacing around an engineered light, directly rebutting what they sought to appear as, making the target individual appear like, no, you don't make you make the target individual appear like a genius. And I didn't need Satan's help to look so smart. I've been smart my whole life. I've been accomplished my whole life. I've been surrounded by demons that have been envious of me and my abilities, spiritual and intellectual, by the way. But they make anybody look like a rocket scientist because they're so ignorant. They're ignorant. They're learning about their own criminal conduct when I've analyzed their demonic behaviors. And they're still engaging in it. Literally being bullied intellectually, they're still engaging in it. And that is the evidence of mental illness and delusion, not the evidence of ignorance. They know that they're stalking somebody with impossible light. That is impossible, and it is unreasonable, and it's absolutely illogical to come to any other conclusion when I've shown you the long existing body of evidence regarding the P.O.C, even going into different regions and showing you what is a population that's not ignorantly practicing a pattern. This is the pattern of conduct. It's currently 8:44 a.m. License plate 9DGK330. All right, the entire city of Ontario is gang stalking every household, and I've shown that. I walk through the neighborhoods. Guess where the fake sun is? Over the people of the state's house, where you're going to be prosecuted. You don't have any shelter at all. The fake sun, the impossible light, the government stalking me outside of your house while you're in relevant position, you're going to be prosecuted. There is no escape, just like the government intended. No escape for a target individual, a victim that they intend to murder and kidnap. There is no escape, and I'm going to prosecute you. And you're stripping, gutting out every means of terrorism in Ontario. That's they don't have a fire department, a police department. They don't have a city airport. They're losing all of that with regard to conspiring my murder. That is them sacrificing every function of terrorism in Ontario, and that's just this city. License plate 9SCM610, and Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer, and Jason Isaac Fields at the top of the list for federal prison, and there is no avoiding that. P.O.C. All right, I do want to document the entity that's engaged in monitoring, monitoring is committed while the government and the people of the state that are monitoring you, they're stalking. By definition, you are monitoring and you are stalking as an entity in doing so. So understand the purpose of the words. When I'm saying you're stalking, they're monitoring. You are indeed stalking. That whole crime scene moves as I move. They're all stalking, and they're monitoring. Monitoring is committed in furtherance of murder. Monitoring is the criminal activity preceding the evidence of premeditated murder. There's no accidents. There's no negligent occurrence. There's no unfortunate demise. The entity's engaging in that which is reasonably resulting in murder. Businesses are monitoring. Cities are monitoring. The government is monitoring, and they're doing so in furtherance of murder. They're doing so while they are keeping the evidence under surveillance as well. And the entity is engaging what is interfering with my internet activity to stop the podcast upload, and that's why they are monitoring in furtherance of murder. That is, again, trying to muzzle the target individual that you intend to murder. And you intend to murder because the documentation, the evidence shows, the record shows that the city of Ontario is still stalking to date as of 8:47 a.m. You're talking about federal raids. You're talking about being in court. You're talking about what is pleading. Please don't put me in prison. Please don't put me in an asylum. Please, I didn't mean to. Yes, you did. And that's why I'm documenting, because down to the very second, you are going to prison. You know who you are? And if you don't know who you are because you're delusional, I've already told you who you are, because if you're going to prison, I told you to your face. When you did what you did, you're going to prison, and you're going to prison based on the ongoing criminal activity that you remain a part of. License plate ARCHUK1. This is P.O.C. Title 18, federal stalking underway, engaging what is an unlawful threat. The government shall not stop and muzzle an American citizen that is trying to silence them while you're trying to murder them. You're in the process of murdering them, and you're going to try to interfere with that by interfering with internet activity. That's what I'm documenting. It's still going up on the internet, and so is the criminal act of obstruction. P.O.C.
flying over me again, which they don't have to fly over my head, but the entity is always stalking and flying over me, and the entity is going to regret this wealth of evidence of threatening my life in this manner. Doing so while demons are walking in impossible light, gang stalking together. What it is that I'm doing is deleting my cookies, clearing the browsing where they're seeking to obstruct uploading the podcast. And this is going on the podcast for today, October 20th, 2025, where they're engaged in monitoring just like they are on the opposite side of the same apartment building. At 5:39 and 5:49 p.m. on the opposite side of the same apartment building at the Ontario Town Square at 224 North Euclid Avenue, the demons are stalking with helicopter while I am engaged in what is clearing up my browsing. They're monitoring on the internet. This is a few things at the same time. It's facilitation of gang stalking amongst the people of the state who are demons. It's criminal monitoring and furtherance with the intent to obstruct justice because I am maneuvering around their ongoing surveillance on the internet, clearing my browser, my cookies. Doing so, flying over the top of my head as I do that. It's audible activity. It's relevant to what are demons that are monitoring as they engage in light activity, audible activity, and relevant positioning. And they're engaging in what is gang stalking and furtherance of murder, seeking to harass and terrorize while I am documenting them, which they are also keeping under surveillance. This is at also what is 9 a.m. The entity is keeping the fake sun on the opposite side of this same exact apartment building at the Ontario Town Square. The entity has this fake sun while the entity did the exact same thing, flew over the top of my head, flew circles around me, and then at 5:49 p.m. engaged in what is stalking again in a helicopter flying as I then engage in what is uploading the evidence of them stalking. They are stalking because this fake sun remains over me on the opposite side of the same apartment building yesterday at 5:39 p.m. I'll attach that video. They're going to federal prison, and that ongoing criminal act is committed in furtherance of Jason Isaac Fields, who's going to prison, going in furtherance to Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer, who are going to federal prison for defaming my character while they've been engaged in psychological torture and stalking with a police department that did not get the job done. Not only that, it blew up in everyone's face, and this is speaking to what is legislation regarding federal group stalking and monitoring domestic terrorism in the U.S., and they're going to prison, including the demons stalking in that helicopter, while they're engaging in what is surveillance on communication devices in violation of Title 18. ARCO is engaged in that unlawful threat. License 9TIH520. Not the first time the ARCO employees are stalking me with the police in furtherance of murder, harassment. They're monitoring on their communication devices with CAL FIRE. CAL FIRE's gang stalking in Hesperia, where the fake sun's over the Holiday Inn, and they're gang stalking me specifically with knowledge of that evidence, doing so as very petty and immature demons that are going to prison. By the way, they're being very petty and childish because they are very hostile to the documentation that I have about them, and they're stalking under a fake sun with knowledge of who I am and where I'm at, and also the body of evidence that incriminates them. These are demons that are monitoring together with the Ontario Police, while a population of the mentally ill are engaging in harassment with that police department. This is the battery that the police committed last night, while a demon that smells like toilet, smells like what is urine, and dumpsters altogether is touching me on behalf of Mike LORENZ, who's going to be removed because he's a stalker and he's a sex offender, he's a psychopath. It is currently, by the way, 9:02 a.m. This is federal stalking. P.O.C. 7U90004. This is a male going to the Ontario Veterinary Hospital with impossible light activity, molesting my person, engaging in a sex offense with the Ontario Police, doing so with the Ontario Veterinary Hospital. I'm going to document. This is the P.O.C. Going to the venue that's also engaged in monitoring. This is a demon. This is that demonic behavior, which is sexually violent and also inherently harassing. This is some sort, I don't know what this is, a man or a woman, but it's got double chins and a ponytail, and it's a demon stalking with impossible light. Doing so, engaging in terrorism while pulling up to the veterinary hospital. This is impossible light beside its vehicle, and this creature touched me with impossible light on the driver's side of their vehicle while driving by me. They're stalking under the fake sun license 70900D4. That's P.O.C. That's committed in furtherance of murder with the Ontario Police that are stalking with those demons that engage in that. And the veterinary clinic is 121 East E Street. They're gang stalking as well. This is P.O.C. It's 9:10 a.m. All right, that creature is engaged in criminal summoning with the entity. This is what they were doing last night at the Ontario Town Square. Two demons are stalking at the square. I document them. Those demons are angry, and then the demons that they're monitoring with then start sounding sirens. I documented that as criminal summoning. That's what the demons are monitoring too. They're engaging in what a very petty behavior by psychopaths. We're going to monitor you now with sirens because you're mad, because this is getting to the unintelligent and emotionally unstable demons that engage in criminal conduct, which is documented for their prosecution. But that's the tactic behind that. It's a retaliatory act in reference to the context of me documenting you, and then the entity sounding sirens under a fake sun. After you're engaging in what is sexually violent and also psychopathic
reaching out and touching me, a sex offense, with light that's not even naturally occurring. Satan is a sex offender, and Satan is using those demons that are sounding sirens as well. 6B VG 497, stalking with impossible light, because that's all that they're doing. This is an ongoing psychopathic iteration of monitoring, and they're pathetic because they engage in the criminal conduct and they are scared to death. Like I said, stalking me by helicopter, stalking me, flying me from place to place by helicopter, like the entity is doing, as I'm documenting the Ontario police. They are so desperate to fly over the top of my head by helicopter while I clear my cookies on my browser with regard to them blocking a podcast right now. They would rather go to prison than me engage in what is uploading my evidence about them gang stalking. So they engage, in other words, their logic is to commit more and more terrorist acts as opposed to engaging in what is stopping when they're already caught. This is what the federal government is being prosecuted for. Jason Isaac Fields was never engaged in any investigation, nor is he now. Okay? This is ongoing voyeurism that the government's engaged in. There's no investigation when you are clearly looking at witnessing targeting by a police department that's not conducting an investigation. The Ontario police aren't investigating me by stalking me by helicopters from place to place under what is circumstances of being accosted with impossible light. Something that is shocking to to your sensibilities, like what WTF, like what is that? And why do you keep touching me with that while you're stalking? You are clearly stalking under a fake sun. Never mind the fact that the demons are mad because you're able to spiritually identify what they are and then also physically prove it with tangible evidence. They're very hostile toward that. That's speaking to the inability to control this. The maniacal conduct by the Ontario police, who are demons, are engaging in that conduct while you're looking at them as, every morning, every night, stalking me by helicopter under what is a fake sun, punctuating their demon possession and their inability to refrain from proving to the world that demon possession is real, and that in the United States government, the Nephilim make up this government that are stalking American citizens. And they're doing so with the public that are engaging in that criminal system, and they do so conspiring murder. They do so to target people, and it's never supposed to be spoken of, but it was always going to be exposed, by the way. But nonetheless, this is what the entity is doing, and it's relevant to mental illness. The entity engages in more terrorist acts while I engage in things such as clearing my cookies, my internet browser, while they're seeking to obstruct what is publishing evidence. And that's the Ontario police that are stalking and furtherance of murdering me, and then want to try to put a muzzle on me by interfering with my internet connection, my internet activity, targeting me as I engage in maneuvering around their surveillance tactics on the internet. That's the mental illness. That's what's behind sounding sirens as I document you being a demon stalking with impossible light activity. Pacing back and forth in and out of ARCO, license 9BHK958, that's crossing path light activity, audible activity, with the demons that are stalking, going to every venue, going to Chevron, going to Starbucks, going to ARCO, going to the veterinary clinic, driving in the parking lot, engaging what is presence in the path like United Rentals and Leonida Builders Incorporated, its presence in the path in the environment. They're monitoring. P.O.C. It is 9:14 a.m. The entity has the fake sun over the Ontario Police Department at 9:16 a.m. at 2500 South Archibald, where the entity is keeping the fake sun. I'm in Fontana, California. I'm documenting at this time of year, which is, we're still within daylight savings time. The entity is keeping the fake sun over Alvarado Gardens, where LAPD is prosecuting the mentally ill in Ontario, where they're stalking under a fake sun, stalking with impossible light, stalking with the government, trying to accomplish murder, and they've already lost that. They are in what is a deadbeat contract with Satan, and they've sacrificed themselves, and so you're witnessing them being embarrassed while they are still going on in furtherance of what is a contract that they're not going to satisfy. So they're going to be subject to judgment spiritually, and they're also subject to judgment because they're being prosecuted with regard to targeting somebody that is here to expose and prosecute them, and that is myself, and that is the P.O.C, the purpose of it. But it's currently 9:15 a.m. This is criminal conduct that Leonida is engaging in. They're crossing path on Euclid Avenue, just like when they're occupying the space of the parking lot where the demons of the airport are stalking, where the demons of the Ontario police just engaged in stalking using helicopter and did so with immediacy, simultaneity to my clearing my cookies, my browser, clearing the cache on my internet, where surveillance is underway by this entity under a fake sun, P.O.C. All right, this is regarding the substance of what I'm capturing right now, the October 19, 2025 podcast. The entity is in furtherance of murder, seeking to obstruct justice and stop an ongoing investigation. The demon that's flying this plane is subject to prison. The demon gang stalking by helicopter is subject to prison. Jason Isaac Fields, Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer, the employee at Chevron, the gang stalkers, the kidnappers at Starbucks, they're going to federal prison for engaging in obstruction while the entity is monitoring, and this is what they're monitoring, while they're flying over the defendants of Ceres Regis Group at 320 North Euclid Avenue, and sex offenders 9FLR 485 engaging in sexual violence while they are engaged in what is an ongoing campaign interfering with an ongoing federal case. This is not helping Tracy Banks. Tracy Banks is going to federal prison. This is not helping Joseph Velasco or L. Edwards engaging in kidnapping at the Starbucks under the fake sun that's still over me while I'm looking at that same venue where they committed kidnapping. It's 9:43 a.m. It's not helping them. They're going to federal prison. And this is what American citizens are subject to when they're murdered and there's no explanation. The entity intends to interfere with justice, and you're going to federal prison for that. Mike Lorenz is being removed, and Paul Leon is being removed. This is the unacceptable threatening conduct. Jason Fields is going to federal prison under all circumstances. And in addition, relevant context, these are demons that are spiritually attacking. Jason Fields thinks you're not going to know that he's spiritually attacking me, and he is, but he's also being documented engaging in as an entity what is ongoing terrorism, seeking to obstruct justice because that demon wants to avoid prison, which he's not. He's going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It's 9:44 a.m. This is speaking to what is a republish, another episode of October 19th, which is going on the internet, and also Staples that is gang stalking, engaging in Title 18 federal stalking, monitoring my podcast. The entity engaging in gang stalking with the purpose of seeking to obstruct justice. Demons and pedophiles driving school buses, same pattern of conduct, same impossible light, same fake sun, by the way. The entities engaging in this while they are going to federal prison. That's what you're winning. That's the reward for engaging in what is an ongoing investigation about the government that will not commit murders and then conceal the evidence regarding it, that will not engage in sexual violence and sexual assault and battery and terrorism and stalking in the middle of the night and then avoid publishing the evidence. They're going to prison. This is P.O.C.
All right, license plate 8MSP514. License 6A42707. That's audible noise by demons that are monitoring, and doing so with the demon that's behind me, which is Ontario, City of Ontario. Senior transportation is stalking under a fake sun. Those are the resources regarding the criminal expenditures that Paul Leon makes and permits while surveillance is underway by helicopter, by the airport that maintains no flights. And no law enforcement is underway under a fake sun. That's surveillance underway by a gang stalking police department. 1690340. This is the City of Ontario that's gang stalking, engaging what is monitoring on ARCO's Wi-Fi network. This is where federal stalking is underway, where they're targeting the podcast. And that's what you will hear starting yesterday's podcast. It is being re-uploaded, and I'm actually going to leave October 19th up because it's evidence of the entity interfering with ongoing evidence, the case against it. This is relevant to the entity being disbanded and the airport being removed. 9 NBR 503 while conspiring the murder of someone that is exposing that they're stalking, that they're engaging in what is sexual violence, that they're engaged in battery, that they're with a population that is stalking you together, and they're doing so while simultaneously against the person that is prosecuting them. This is what they do to people that don't have any evidence and don't have a voice, and you don't even know that they're murdering people as a population, and they're doing it to me while I'm prosecuting them. That's going to be remained on there. ARCO is sharing in that unlawful threat, and the ARCO employees are gang stalking with the Ontario Police at nightfall and under the fake sun, where it's remaining. It's currently 9:53 a.m. The fake sun's in the same position that it was at 7. The entity is keeping the fake sun on the south side of the downtown Ontario luxury apartments, where yesterday at 9:57 a.m. the entity had the fake sun on the opposite side, where I'm at the Ontario Town Square. They're sharing together in what is an ongoing criminal act, federal stalking for the purpose of obstruction while you want to accomplish murder. That includes 9 Nancy Kelly Paul 386, 9 Paul 0 Mary 627, Charlie Henry Victor 6703, that's Arizona. And this is what the Ontario Police are relying on, what the City of Ontario relies on, and these are psychopaths that are stalking under a fake sun, psychopaths that stalk in places like bathrooms on behalf of the government, doing so while they intend to commit murder of that targeted individual. 29755 David 3, this is what Tracy Banks is gang stalking me with, relied on my being murdered while Val Beer is gang stalking me, and she's doing so with Tracy Banks, with Jason Fields, with the state of California, and Tracy and Jason and Eric are going to prison. License 9 Nancy Uncle Yolanda 794. Val Beer has been engaged in stalking me with the Ontario Police that I captured on a helicopter. She's here gang stalking in relevant position, monitoring on her communication device, criminal presence in the path. And her place of employment is a means of easily identifying a terrorist, not any defense. The fake sun being over your place of work is identifying the malicious pattern of conduct. Val Beer's license is 9 Edward Frank Henry 194, and that is federal prison and deportation, by the way. This is relevant to whether or not Val Beer is a natural-born citizen. She is gang stalking under all circumstances. Not being a natural-born citizen is Val Beer's deportation, her ticket out of this country. License plate. Stalking. 9 Edward Charlie Jerry 846, and stalking with light all around on the black asphalt.
This is another homosexual stalking with the government. 9 Nancy Edward 958. The homosexuals that like to consume my bodily fluids, stalking me and monitoring my vagina just like every other predator, stalking as a population of demons who are psychopaths, stalking with light, stalking under a fake sun, stalking under a fake moon at night, stalking while the entity is engaging what is things such as sharing in terrorism with Balbir, who's stalking inside of a small little market while demons are pacing all around. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently 9:55 a.m. at 506 North Euclid Avenue. This is exactly why gang stalking family and fake friends like Jason Fields, Eric Spencer, Tracy Banks are going to prison. Tommy Allen Banks, they all participated in criminal defamation while they're gang stalking at the same time they're going to prison. Okay, they're doing so while Ontario police is gang stalking with them. This is P.O.C. Hello. And the fake son is over this venue where the entity's engaging in what is transactions, business, profiting from gang stalking. You're going to be prosecuted for that. This is speaking to the system of the government that is engaging in what is public corruption. That's what's relevant regarding the business practices upon gang stalking. I'm also going to get a cup of ice. To let you know. Okay. Molesting with impossible light activity while I'm making a purchase. All those license plates outside of the gas stalls are sharing in sexual violence and terrorism, and so is Chevron. Thank you. Sunlight's not going to shoot through where the clerk is creating noise in the path under the fake sun. This is money jingling, that's audible noise, impossible light shooting through. This is ongoing facilitation. You're going to be deported and prosecuted while you're gang stalking with the government, who is also terrorizing me by helicopters and planes where you're working. You're going to prison and you're going to be deported. It is currently, by the way, while Balbir is engaging in threatening me in my face, doing so with demons that are gang stalking by filling up gas tanks under what is a fake sun and an engineer light. License 8KZA429 is the demon that pulls up while I'm being molested with impossible light activity. They're gang stalking at gas stalls. That's the mental illness by the demon-possessed sex offending terrorists in the U.S. Balbir is getting deported because her co-defendants act together. They act together with regard to prosecuting each other. And that's where their mental illness is serving to implode the system and put them where they belong, which is literally in asylums and in prisons. This is where, and outside of the country, wherever they came from, because American citizens are targeting others and they've been granted the privilege to be here, and that privilege is revoked upon gang stalking, which is terrorism. This conversation is audible noise and engineer light. It lasts a while. Depending on how long you keep it, about 6 weeks, and then you can do the audible noise and engineer light. Still monitoring. This is Chevron actively monitoring with the employees, with the customers, pacing in and out, going to the register, they're pacing. All right, they're doing so. The fake sun is still here at Chevron when I'm walking out at 5:45 p.m. in the Ontario International Airport. It's flying over me, flying at this same intersection where the fake sun is right here, right as I'm documenting at 9:53 a.m. They're monitoring that conversation, walking in and out of the entrance, doing so while the African American with the nappy braids, license 8KZA429, she's gang stalking with Balbir. This demon gang stalk with impossible light, Edward Frank 00Y72 with the paper plate. They're gang stalking with Balbir. The demon that's using their car alarm, she walks inside. This is the homosexual she's stalking. She's a psychopath. She's stalking with noise and impossible light while I'm being molested, while a homosexual is gang stalking with the government. And this is how homosexuals are both obsessed with your vagina and they also want to murder you while they're gang stalking. These are demons. This is the Nephilim, psychopathic females that are want to be you and want to literally steal the vagina between your legs. These are sex offenders and psychopaths. And she's monitoring with Balbir. 9NEE958. Balbir is going to be deported, however. She's not a natural-born citizen. Your gang stalking co-defendant that's not even born in this country is out of here, and you are subject to what is prison. While these two psychopaths, 8KZA429 and 9NEE958, represent an entity that's stalking on behalf of psychopaths calling themselves a police department, psychopaths calling themselves a fire department, psychopaths calling themselves an Ontario airport board, an executive team, calling themselves airlines, where they're doing nothing other than criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder, a sacrifice amongst the demon demon-possessed, who you are witnessing are severely ill. And then they want to go behind and then try to stop me from publishing the evidence so that you would know that a homosexual is engaged in what is stalking another woman, obsessed with her vagina, and she wants to engage in that, and be that she just doesn't want you to hear that. That's why they're going to federal prison. That's the immediate escalation of that criminal offense that is committed in furtherance of murder. That is absolutely psychopathic. License 9NEE958, 8KZA429, EF00Y72, and they're all the reason why Balbir and any other immigrant is going to be deported. That's their own problem. They did it to each other. License. Gang stalking at the Ontario Veterinary Hospital at what is 121 East C Street. License 53190. That's a handicap. License 7AVL866. They were stalking with the Ontario police. That flew over the top of my head, terrorizing me, gang stalking me. The City of Ontario put two dweebs inside of a vehicle with the City of Ontario on it regarding transportation of seniors, and they're engaged in the exact same surveillance that United Rentals is engaging in, that Leonida Builders is engaging in, that the people of the state, the ARCO and Chevron employees are engaging in. They're all stalking in the path. That demons that are engaging in what is stalking by maintenance on the roads and the highways, gang stalking on the roads and highways. That's what the City of Ontario is doing with the vehicle. That's speaking to what is the incompetence, the corruption of Paul Leon, making way for ongoing gang stalking to occur. Doing so while a fake son is over me while I'm kidnapped by demons at Starbucks at 7:15 in the morning on July 4th, 2025. Pay attention to this line of evidence. Then the son is remaining here as I am not kidnapped today, and I'm showing you what is the maintenance of an idle fake son, where the City of Ontario is also gang stalking with the municipality issuing vehicles to maintain surveillance. License 1690340. Speaking to what is the evidence of a fake son so that you know that L. Edwards is committing a kidnapping outside of what is my commentary and the inability to answer a common sense question as to why the police are in my face when I'm at Starbucks, engaging in what is constitutionally protected conduct, and you need the police to ask me to make a purchase when actually you're gang stalking with the police that are stalking me every day at that Starbucks under a fake sun at 7:15 a.m., which did not go anywhere, unlike it did when I was kidnapped by Starbucks and the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department that has a fake sun over my head at 12:51 p.m. In fact, that fake sun is over the Ontario City Hall. That's how much the fake sun doesn't move when Paul Leon is engaged in what is the criminal expenditures on criminal surveillance, where pot-bellied demons are gang stalking in City of Ontario vehicles and City of Ontario Police Department vehicles and City of Ontario helicopters, and the City of Ontario maintaining ongoing terrorism and stalking using commercial planes. They also do so in an environment which is putting the kidnappers on July 4th, 2025 in prison, because there is no natural environment. You are engaged in kidnapping pursuant to surveillance and the intent to obstruct justice, while I'm showing you what is a fake sun that remained over this same parking lot behind L. Edwards' head, where he's gang stalking me on July 4th, 2025. You will see the fake sun outside of the window that is facing this same direction. Even though I'm not in alignment, the couch is in alignment to this same sky space, though. You're facing what is east, while I'm sitting on the stool inside of the chair inside of the Starbucks, where L. Edwards' head is next to the fake sun. You can see it outside of the window while he's facing me and I'm facing that window. This fake sun didn't go anywhere. And it's not going to be over Woodside, not Woodside. It's not going to be over Woodside either. That's Tracy Banks that's going to prison. But it's not going to be over, like I documented yesterday at 12:51 p.m. It's the same time of year. It's still daylight savings time. There is no sun. Speaking to the specific environment where kidnappings and stalking by a population that is demon-possessed and absurdly psychopathic. Stalking me in helicopter, speaking to the kidnapping that they committed at 7:15 in the morning at 507 Euclid Avenue, across the street from Balbir, who's gang stalking under an idle fake sun that would not be anywhere over Shannon Dykes exclusively exposing him as engaging in what is kidnapping with the Ontario police, by virtue of exchanging hands with the target individual, but also by virtue of what is not ignorantly exchanging hands. You are not avoiding a prosecution for being a terrorist committing kidnapping to obstruct justice. You know exactly who I am while that fake sun is over the facility, over the top of my head at 12:51 p.m., where this fake sun is remaining over me in this parking lot today. It didn't go to West Valley. That's not the natural environment. That is gang stalking by Alex Escobar, A. Casada, and L. Edwards, and Ocean, Amelia, Patty, those demons that I documented day in and day out from June 4th, 2025 until July 4th, 2025, when they committed kidnapping. Because they were monitoring, just like I'm showing you, where they think they're going to stop publishing a podcast while you're trying to murder me, are you out of your mind? Yes, they are out of their mind. And that's why they're going to be both committed and they're going to be convicted. And you're going to prison for putting your hands on the target individual. And that's exactly what you're doing when you're criminally summoning the gang stalkers of a corrupt police department. When you are engaged in surveillance with a municipality, that is the public removal of office of the Nephilim calling itself a mayor. That is the ongoing mandatory federal imprisonment of gang stalking family members like Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer, who are gang stalking in the same environment. And they're doing so pursuant to kidnapping, which Tracy Banks committed with the same agency that's stalking me day and night, without any regard for the evidence and how it's going to be used. Fields is going to prison. Tracy Banks is going to prison. Eric Spencer is going to prison. And everybody else has sat in and made perjurious testimony in what was an act, a criminal act occurring in courtrooms relevant to what is state targeting. They're going to federal prison. Okay, they're going to federal prison, and the evidence of the entity keeping a fake son while psychopaths and ignoramuses together at the same time are stalking in commercial planes, proving to you that they are engaging in kidnapping and stalking with the people of the state. Because there's no sun that's going to be over West Valley Detention Center during the same time of year over the top of my head anywhere in Rancho Cucamonga, because it's remaining over this parking lot as I'm documenting over a series of hours. 7 in the morning, the entity maintaining an ongoing beeline over the same parking lot over and over again. Leonida, City of Ontario, Starbucks, the entity gang stalking at Gloria's Cochinas, the entity gang stalking via the hometown barbershop, Rogers Flowers, the Chevron, the Arca, 434 North Euclid Avenue, 506 North Euclid Avenue, the Ontario Veterinary Hospital. They're all under a fake sign that didn't go anywhere. And it is not going to Rancho Cucamonga. It's not going to be in the window of Omnitrans. It's not going to be in the window of the demons that committed kidnapping like they did on July 4th, where that fake sun moves and it's over me in Rancho Cucamonga. And I document San Bernardino County gang stalking me into the evening at 5 p.m. at Archibald and Etowanda, where the entity has the fake sun at that intersection and they're stalking by helicopters, just like the psychopaths who are calling themselves a police department. And they're doing so while the people of the state are going to prison. Paul Leon is gang stalking while the municipality is using dumpster trucks and utility vehicles and vehicles associated, like I'm showing you, Silver Star, City of Ontario. They're engaging in the same criminal conduct that United Rentals is doing while the entity is stalking under a fake sun over the parking lot. That's the pattern of conduct, and the entity is doing so as though nothing that the target individual says matters, as though there is not going to be any consequences, as though Jason Isaac Fields is going to, oh, I provided evidence, or I'm this position, and I'm not going to prison. This delusional psychopath, this violent sex offender, this vagina monitoring homosexual is going to federal prison. He's going to federal prison with his age-old demon, his sex partner, Tracy Banks. His sex partner is relevant to the fact that they are co-conspirators in murder, because there is no human reason why those two should be sexually acquainted or under any circumstances even know each other, but for stealing from me and conspiring against me. Both of them are going to prison. And the entity is gang stalking through all means of evidence that surrounds them. License 1690340, the Ontario Senior, you will know that they're gang stalking when the fake sun is over 280 North Limit, and those old demons are gang stalking at that apartment complex, and they're crawling into City of Ontario vehicles, gang stalking me, and doing so under the fake sun, with the demons that are then flying over the Ontario Town Square and flying over the 280 North Limit apartments where I'm there, and that's where the fake sun is. That's speaking to criminal conduct by the mayor. Where you are financing terrorism, you are a domestic terrorist. Where you are in a position of leadership for it to occur, you are a domestic terrorist. Osama bin Laden wasn't some passive leader of what is a regime regarding murder of people in that country for whatever reasons that they told themselves, that Satan told them that they need to be murdering people. You are not passively engaging in this, nor are you ignorantly providing money or the ability for it to exist. And the mayor is not ignorant about planes flying over that office, helicopters stalking me, doing so 24 hours a day, and using commercial vehicles in order to do so, using commercial airplanes in order to do so, using what is the functions of the municipality to engage in demonic behavior. That is speaking to an entity that has infiltrated, that is infected every angle regarding what is surveillance that a government is engaging in. And Dominic Choi is exposed while I'm documenting in the City of Ontario, and vice versa. But I want to be clear, Dominic Choi is a reference to the City of LA, which is, again, the state of California. But what I want to say is Paul Leon is exposed while the City of Ontario is gang stalking. And that includes by the government actors. These aren't private citizens. These are the people of the state, and that is exposing a gang stalking mayor. It's the same thing in Fontana with the enemy, Aquanetta Warren. Okay, she is unfit with regard to what is her mental illness that you know about while gang stalking is happening in the city under her leadership. She's a demon as well, and she's gang stalking with the rest of them. And she's engaging in terrorism, and the entity doing so with regard to what is my documentation of that subject to, and they do so under what is a remaining fake sun. Let me go ahead and capture this. see, this is the entity gang stalking. That is United Airlines, the elevation, and the ongoing amplified noise. And they're doing so under a fake sun. This is exactly where Leonida was. This is what the City of Ontario is engaging in. They're sitting in the vehicle engaging in surveillance. So let me show you. That is the entity that's gang stalking. ARCO employees gang stalking me with Ontario Police. Doing so with the City of Ontario, maintaining what is a system of surveillance. 1690340. This is the removal of domestic terrorists such as Paul Leon, where they're engaged in surveillance on behalf of the government. This is the fake sun. This is not the sun. This is surveillance, and they're doing so with demons that are aiding and stalking with light, 7YDX483, and that's mental illness. The fake sun is here over 2 hours later, and they're doing so while the entity is at 10 a.m. The entity is keeping the fake sun on the opposite side of this apartment building yesterday morning, and it was also not over the Ovid Family Community Library, contrary to what I documented 48 hours ago at 10:04 a.m. It's already over me as I'm walking into that entrance. In addition to that, L. Edwards, A. Quesada, and Alex Escobar commit kidnapping with Ocean, and all the demons gang stalking under her corrupt leadership, calling herself a manager of baristas when she's nothing other than a vagina monitoring terrorist in California under the guise of what is being a Starbucks cafe, where this fake sun is seen through the windows of that venue where I'm subject to kidnapping, and the fake sun remains over me as I go to Rancho Cucamonga at 12:51 p.m. Yesterday at 12:51 p.m. I showed you the fake sun is over Paul Leon's office, who is engaged in gang stalking. The municipality, money to use vehicles associated with the city to engage in criminal surveillance. There's no natural environment that is present. That is speaking to the context regarding what is overt harassment, but it's deeper than harassment. It's criminal monitoring. It's gang stalking, which is terrorism that Ocean is facilitating while they summon the gang stalkers that flew over my head by helicopter this morning. That was 2 hours ago, by the way. That was during the 8 a.m. hour. Excuse me, 8:59 a.m. So it's over an hour ago. The entity is engaging what is keeping this fake sun after 6 p.m. So don't be deceived by that. After 6 p.m., 12:34 p.m. I'm standing right here. The Ontario Police are stalking by a commercial plane flying over Sarah's Regis Group. This is not the natural environment. This is Paul Leon being proven as a terrorist. This is the Ontario Police being proven as kidnappers. You're going to federal prison. The entities keep doing so under what is a fake sun, indicating what is mental illness that is pervasive. And this is the prosecution of that entity. I want to be clear. The entity engaged in what is interfering with publishing a podcast. That's not only intellectual property that belongs to me, that's evidence. And in any federal case where the government's conspiring your murder, and then they have the audacity to interfere with it, and then they're stupid enough to engage in it on video, this is literally going to be used to teach terrorism in the United States how they execute it, and you're going to prison for it. This is the pattern of conduct. That was a kidnapping underway. This is not sitting idle across the same street of Starbucks where they committed kidnapping on July 4, 2025. And Paul Leon is gang stalking with the people of the state. Doing so, that's ongoing criminal conduct. These are demons that are acting in concert and maintaining ongoing aerial surveillance. This is what the entity is doing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm standing on the sidewalk of Starbucks, and those demons are flying close to me while they're stalking. As I move north, so does the stalking by planes, and they fly over Unicare at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. This is already on the record. They're going to prison. So is Jason Fields, Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer, the demons, Alex Escobar, A. Quesada, L. Edwards, because there's a whole list of them that engage in kidnapping as of 2025. Listen to the video of May 29, 2025, where Tracy Banks is engaged in criminal defamation with the same demons, Ontario Police, that are gang stalking me day and night, trying to come up with some iteration of criminal defamation. They're all going to prison, and their mental illness is at the forefront of their prosecution. The Ontario International Airport gang stalking is directly relevant to the same City of Ontario gang stalking. The airport's being removed, the police department, the fire department is being removed. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:13 a.m. There is no natural environment where the sun is over the Ovid Family Community Library, and the entity is going to move the fake sun to then be over the entrance, where demons like this, stalking with impossible light, 9RZK034, monitor the vagina, the genitalia of American citizens on behalf of that airport, police department, fire department, and the municipality that's engaging in surveillance. That's P.O.C. That's the removal of a sex offender and an exposed enemy of the United States, calling themselves mayors. Aquanetta, Warren, Paul Leon, Karen Bass. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 10:14 a.m. Alrighty, I did go into video, capturing the fake sun, capturing the entity stalking by planes, doing so in a series of planes, so more than one plane. There's no takeoffs from the airport here, and that's going to be also relevant in the prosecution showing targeting, but targeting is also proven to a scientific degree regarding what is
the specific environment where there's no sun in Florida 3 hours from now. There's only one sun. So the sun that's in Florida is prosecuting the Ontario International Airport. The fake sun that's in the window of Starbucks where they're committing kidnapping on July 4, 2025 is prosecuting the Ontario International Airport. It's removing Paul Leon from office. It's disbanding the Ontario Police. It's removing Michael GERKEN from any ability to have any involvement with being a firefighter. And everyone under his corrupt leadership is also removed accordingly for terrorism. And they're also subject to what is the removal of that fire department. The entities engaged in this conduct in the specific environment, and even were the circumstance which you're not taking off from 2500 Airport Drive and then perpetually hovering even beyond this location where you're acting like you're taking off, but you're not, because even west of this location, which I'm documenting, the entity is stalking, hovering with a fake sun over the Stater Brothers parking lot, and doing so at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when the entity has, at 2 o'clock, 2:37 in the afternoon, the entity has the fake sun over the Ovid Family Community Library at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The entity has the fake sun over the Ontario Town Square. The entity has the fake sun over the top of my head at the Ramada by Windham on G Street. We're on G Street and Euclid by the 10 freeway. The entity has the fake sun over the top of my head at work at Alvarado Gardens, where LAPD is gang stalking me, same time of year. The entity has the fake sun over the top of my head when I'm walking from the Ovid back to the same venue, where I'm showing you gang stalking by the City of Ontario in an environment that is stationary with regard to what is a fake sun that does not go anywhere. They are prosecuted under all circumstances, and they engage in more of that psychopathic behavior. 8WHH195, 9KUB633. Stalking with the City of Ontario, doing so in the City of Ontario vehicles that I'm documenting on video. I'm going to add that to the podcast. They're doing so under a fake sun, and this is the entity exposing its mental illness for all the world to witness, and it is a national security concern. 9FVH889, 7GZR 586. It is a national security concern. It's regarding the children that the mentally ill that are gang stalking are in custody of, that they exercise influence in custody of, gang stalking bus drivers, gang stalking teachers, gang stalking school districts, gang stalking libraries like the Ovid Family Community Library. They're engaging in sexual violence, monitoring my vagina, and at the same time they're teaching little kids and having exclusive influence over them, being around their genitalia, keeping them under surveillance, including them in sexual violence. They're doing so under the guise of being parents and coming in, and the more that I document, pay attention to my evidence, the more that you'll see the demon-possessed come in with little babies. Gang stalking, that's what they also like to do. In the same way that they, as I document them, they'll engage in more stalking in planes and helicopters. Very foolish conduct. License 8SRL292, OPARC. It's very foolish with regard to the mentally ill that have no concept regarding what is being in court for the unthinkable that they have been caught engaging in, and for years. License 8YCK871. License 8... crossing path under the fake sun that's no longer over the parking lot where it's been for over 2 hours. 9GRX362. That's an old dirty bastard covered with white hair all over his face. He's stalking a woman and he's monitoring her vagina. License 8UWN647, and he's doing so in furtherance of murder. He's a murderer, okay? And he's a stalker. He's a demon. 8BTJ572, that's more than just a criminal. He's an evil person. That's what you need to know about that person. So that is something that's someone that is suspect and liable to engage in anything. Not only am I exposing criminal conduct, I'm exposing what is their condition. This is the Nephilim that are entirely wicked. License 9MJG105, license plate. Leonida, they like to stalk again. License plate, LEOBLD2. That's that psychopathic personality. The more that you expose Satan, the more that Satan likes to flirt with danger. And it's very dangerous to engage in what is gang stalking. The federal prosecutor, you're going to prison. 8DSP661. They're being deported. That business is going to shut down, okay? The president, his name is Leonida. Guess what? If he's not a natural-born citizen, he's getting deported, and any other gang stalker in the U.S. 8MAF606, NE332 handicap, 9ECA744, 7JXN527, 9FFJ108, 31754 Yolanda 1, stalking with Leonida Builders, and stalking license 67911 David 2. License anthesis, mentally ill, are used to those with Down syndrome. They're being driven here. They're being placed in the path to monitor me. And those are the psychopaths anthesis that's gang stalking. 9LFA977. They are using those that are mentally ill. They're not driving themselves here. They're engaged in what is presence in the path to stalk within the light, stalk in the engineer light, engage in what is their whatever their physical illness. Say someone has like a Tourette's syndrome or condition. Anthesis is putting them in the path, monitoring me. That's the psychopaths that are sex offenders, and they engage in that with knowledge of who I am. They're under the fake sun coming, and they did the same thing at Starbucks. Again, antithesis, license plate. These are psychopaths that have no business having custody of children or those that are vulnerable, that are engaging in the same P.O.C. And I also want to be clear regarding demon possession. No physical handicap is any sort of barring from that condition of demon possession. But under these facts, antithesis is being prosecuted. They're the ones that are facilitating gang stalking and furtherance of murder amongst those that are mentally ill. Actually, but so is us. Antithesis drivers, they're mentally ill. They're psychopaths. They suffer from mental illness, and they think using those with Down syndrome is a way to engage in the P.O.C. or suggesting that not. No, that's absolutely absurd. They're all in engineer light, so they put those that are mentally ill in the engineer light in my path monitoring me. Psychopaths like that, they're engaging in abusing mentally ill people. Those are the demons that have no business in the medical profession, by the way. And antithesis does that while covering up their license plates. Okay, P.O.C., it is currently 10:20 a.m. Leonida builders that are gang stalking under the fake sun at 7 and 10 o'clock in the morning, drilling in the ground, doing so as demons that have likely subject to deportation upon the entity that's engaged in it. I want to be clear, Leonida builders, the business is a sex offender, and the demons that are operating the vehicles with regard to the elements of monitoring in concert with the City of Ontario, they are sex offenders gang stalking. Licensed and insured, license number 896772/ABNC-8. Gang stalking, and that license plate again is LEOBLD2. I want to be clear, they are enemies of this country. They actually hate your constitutional rights, and they, I want to be clear, on behalf of the government, engage in what is obsessive stalking in the path. This fake sun is remaining over me as I am now arriving at the library. It wasn't already here, and it's also not going to be here when it's over me in Fontana at the entrance of the Fontana Lewis Library over that venue at the same time, 9:59 a.m. We're in Ontario. The entity is maintaining a very specific environment, which is defying nature, where corrupt businesses and terrorists like Leonida Builders Inc. and Leonida Builders Inc. Inc. employees are exposed as engaging in terrorism, and that is the basis of deportation when you are not even a natural-born citizen. License 9NBF 576-67911D2 7GDD458 8ZTM300. Wells Fargo's monitoring my vagina all day long. The fake sun is still here, just like I documented yesterday after 6 p.m. 79096R3. All those employees are gang stalking sex offenders in the banking industry, where you're being monitored in the bank, and your banking information is public information. And they're gang stalking, engaging in terrorism with the Ontario police. They're engaging in harassment, just like I documented the puppets of the City of Ontario coming around and harassing me on behalf of these little boys and girls of the Ontario police, whom I've humiliated because they're obsessed with my vagina, and they don't want you to know that they're obsessed stalkers. License 9PGB912. And they engage in what is sex rituals. They're pedophiles, and they're engaged in what is repeatedly kidnapping, trying to silence me, and it's not going to work. In fact, they're going to prison for it. 84794U3 and Wells Fargo at 240 North Euclid Avenue is a corrupt establishment, and everybody in there is engaged in gang stalking, and they're doing so in furtherance of murder, including Wells Fargo is targeting in furtherance of murder. That is the business, and yes, you will be prosecuting businesses for conspiring murder, for facilitating and enabling gang stalking. That's what the entity is doing, using the building, being around the building, being inside of the building, engaging in what is corrupt business while they're gang stalking simultaneously. It's like funneling drugs through your nail salon. They're engaged in criminal monitoring via the presence and the operations of Wells Fargo. 9TIH520. This is Arco that's parked at the Wells Fargo gang stalking me. That's the Arco employee. He's going to be deported if he's not a natural-born citizen. This is P.O.C. These are the demons that are psychopaths. They're very hostile when I document them. They go out of their way to engage in what is gang stalking. And by the way, the facts supersede what is, oh, I just coincidentally go to the bank. No, you're not. You're monitoring while the fake sun is over me. You are obsessed, and it's also relevant context that I'm documenting you. This is Vivanco of the Ontario Police. I'm documenting this demon molesting me across the street in the middle of the night with impossible light activity because your headlights are not reaching across while I'm at the barber shop on the opposite side of the street. That's a broad street, okay? And in the same way, it's molestation right now because that's not the sun. The entity, the state, the government is going to be prosecuted as a sex offender, in addition to what is monitoring my vagina in private spaces, keeping me under surveillance in my hotel rooms, invading my privacy as an entity, doing so through corrupt businesses, sex offenders, hiding their identity and their purpose through business names like Leonida Builders Incorporated. What they've done is they've built themselves a prosecution and a straight bridge out of this country. Were they not? And let's pray together that they're immigrants because they're out of here. They're out of here. You're going to remove as many of them as possible. and by them I mean those that have been granted the privilege by this gang-stalking government to let enemies of this country in this country to keep American citizens and murder them and target them together. You're deporting them right back out. They're getting right back out of here. All right, it's currently 10:24 a.m. The fake sun is remaining over me. UPS, a gang-stalking company, already documented. Gang-stalking me in Pomona, gang-stalking me in Los Angeles, gang-stalking me on the roads and the highways. When the entity is stalking me in my vehicle and the fake sun remains over my sunroof. Over me while I'm in the city of Las Vegas, Nevada, this different state and adjacent state, 9KPP069, stalking with the demons with impossible light, 24190R2. USPS is gang stalking at 280 North Limit Apartments. The fake sun is at the same position. I already showed this juxtaposition of evidence. UPS is a gang stalker. This is a white male engaging in what is psychopathic behavior, and so is UPS. That is monitoring American citizens. 7MOD495, 9KPP069, 9CPV241. This is also the same property where the demons that are gang stalking me in the Arco parking lot using a senior citizen vehicle of the City of Ontario, gang stalker, doing so by picking up a bunch of elderly, demon-possessed gang stalkers. It's the same P.O.C. License 5FZR022. I'm standing at this same entrance at 4 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, and the fake sun is over me. I just ran down a whole bunch of iterations of the P.O.C. And these demon-possessed Jehovah's Witnesses that do not know Christ Jesus are sitting around surrounding under the fake sun, engaging in criminal activity of a satanic nature. That's why they're out here witnessing to what is the doctrine of Satan. Okay, they're engaging in criminal conduct. They're Jehovah's Witnesses that are gang stalking at the same time. That's how you know them, by their deeds. And that's also why they're out here espousing to a lying doctrine. Okay, speaking to what is deceiving people while they're monitoring them. That's what's so disgusting about that false religion. License plate 67911D2, pacing again. All he's doing is pacing. Already read his license plate. He's a demon with engineer light dragging on the ground. License plate 9MSY464. Sarah's Regis Group at 320 North Euclid Avenue is being prosecuted. They're gang stalking with the City of Ontario, with Anthesis, with O-Park, with the entity that's pacing all around. That's all that they were doing at the Arco parking lot. And the entity was maintaining ongoing beeline over that parking lot, just like they are at the Ontario Town Square, where the entity kept the fake sun. Where it is now is where it remained after 6 p.m. yesterday. And the entity does it on video. The entity does it while I'm catching podcasts. And the entity's going to prison and mental asylums for it. And they're being deported out of this country. P.O.C. It is currently 10:27 a.m. Everybody inside of the Ovid Family Community Library are a bunch of gang-stalking psychopaths and violent sex offenders. Every employee in particular. And Sean Thrasher's going to prison. He's going to federal prison, and so are the employees that engage in kidnapping right along with him. P.O.C. All of the pattern of conduct is concentrated inside of the building of the Ovid Family Community Library at 215 East C Street. This is mental illness that is encamped within the walls of a building where a fake sun remains over it, and a bunch of demons are stalking with noise and impossible light and exhibiting severe mental illness together, stalking one person that's prosecuting them. This is delusional on top of psychopathic and sexually violent. P.O.C. Oh, it's still here. That's so funny. Do you guys have any study rooms available? I do. Well, if you have it for 2 hours right now. Yeah. You do? Then I will take it for right now. Let me give you my library card. Do you need the whole library card, or do you want the... Alrighty, that is pacing. Monitoring inside an engineer light. Fake sun is over the venue. Looking like some sort of army sergeant with the bowl cut. Pacing, monitoring with the venue. This is City of Ontario that's sitting inside of a building, very easily identified. It's already showing you know what they're doing, and now they're all doing it inside of a building. It's 10:29 a.m. That's the identification of all facets of the pattern of conduct. It includes in the bathroom. It includes with the entity stalking with the police, the fire department, and the airport. And this is inside of a venue, which is a deceptive misnomer. This is not an actual library. All right. Ongoing surveillance is underway by the state throughout the entirety of the City of Ontario, and this is how it operates inside of a venue that's maintaining that system of surveillance at a library. It is P.O.C.
So it's available for, it would be the full 2 hours from 10:30 then to 12:30? Is that okay? Or?
It would be from,
Because it's 10:30 right now.
10:30 to 11:30.
Oh, you don't have it for 2 hours?
No, it seems like somebody made a booking at the same time and they reserved it from 12 to 2.
Okay.
What I can do is give you an hour and a half in one room and then give you 30 minutes in the other room. Is that fine?
Consecutively? So it would be like 10:30 to 1?
So you would have one room from 10:30 up until 12.
To 12?
And then 12 to 12:30.
And the next one? Okay, that's fine. I'll do that. That's fine. That's not too much. Thank you. No problem. Is it okay for me to get some wipes? Yes, please. Thank you. Good morning. I'm fine. How are you? Are you new here?
I've been with the city for a while, but newer to IT.
Oh, that's what I thought. I was like, maybe you're behind the scenes like Alan.
Oh, and Alan's the
IT.
his wheelhouse. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. Sorry.
You're fine. All right, let me let you.
Have a good day. Okay, got it. Thank you. All right, do not forget that the entity engaged in what is an unlawful and what is, as far as the law goes, it's unforgivable insofar as the inevitable consequence. You're going to prison when you are interfering with an American citizen's documentation. They're trying to hunt American citizens down to kill them, and there is no way that any government or government actor is avoiding federal prison for that. So they are engaged in monitoring, and they're engaged in this ongoing thirsty and delusional campaign regarding blocking a podcast that was already published. The video evidence of it is already published. What is it that you are accomplishing with regard to interfering with the publishing of the podcast, where all of the evidence, every piece of it is already online? Regarding even the license plates that I'm reciting in that podcast, they're captured in pictures. The entity doesn't want you to hear my commentary. I can include it in another podcast. There is under no circumstances, in other words, you are not avoiding it. The entity that's engaging in that, however, is engaging in that while they are simultaneously accomplishing what is the ongoing progressive act of murdering someone. You will not interfere with a federal case. You are stalking as a police department. You are stalking in the most incredible manner that is designed to terrorize someone, using helicopters flying over the top of their heads, following them around, stalking them as demons with the molestation with impossible light. So you're trying to horrify and terrify them while you're stalking them and flying over and around them, following them in helicopters, engage in all manner of a chaotic and psychopathic environment, all manner of sirens based on every move you make and everything that you're doing, while you're stalking as a bunch of demons, doing so in vehicles which has nothing to do with the light that's flying all around, but it has everything to do with their presence while that supernatural environment is present. You think in your sick mind only, and in an alternate universe where clearly they've been existing, and they're going to be prosecuted with those illusions, speaking to their being committed and convicted for gang stalking amongst the psychopaths that are engaging in this criminal system. You will not interfere with the case like the entity did today, and I'm leaving the October 19, 2025 podcast the way it is, and I'm going to publish it today, October 20th, and include what is the evidence, what the entity is doing, because you're going to prison. The entity is going to produce terrorists who are stalking in these commercial planes. And the entity is, I want to be clear, Julia Gu, she's going to be subject to a prosecution for terrorism. So is Alan D. Wapner, the entity that's gang stalking as the city of Ontario. This is Paul Leon's criminal handiwork.
This is providing funding. That's what that is when you're using the vehicles of the municipality. When they're engaging in surveillance. The fake sun is directly rebutting what is, oh no, we were over here and we were just waiting to get you. I'll give you. They'll say, oh, we're waiting to pick up another group of senior citizens that are going to meet us in this parking lot. They're going to get in our van and then we're going to take them to the bowling alley because that's where they're having a fiesta for the Latinas of the senior citizen age. Right? You could say whatever it is you want. The fake sun, the ongoing stalking by the government is directly rebutting any sort of, and it's also legally irrelevant. You're going to state in court what your reasoning for being there is because that's what the gang stalkers rely on, and it's absolutely irrelevant. You're going to be prosecuted on something analogous to a strict liability basis. The entity's maintenance of that environment is directly proving the purpose of everyone's presence and the inability to reconcile what is a pattern and not a coincidence and not an anomaly. You're going to be prosecuted, and that's prosecuting the mayor. That's prosecuting the city. That's prosecuting every function of that city that's sharing in that pattern of conduct. This is also speaking to what the state is doing. That's why I went to Pasadena. That's why I went to Rosemead and Azusa. That's why I went to Chino. That's why I went to Pomona and Fontana. That's why I went to Rialto and San Bernardino, showing you that there is no coincidence and they're going to be prosecuted in the ways in which the government is providing funding for it. And that's funding for criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder when you're using the vehicles of the municipality, when those employees also think that they're sneaky driving in their own private vehicles, which again, that's just a reference to not using a municipality vehicle because it's not private. They're not private citizens, but I mean not using a government funded means of surveillance, but you are as an employee. Even when you're driving your own vehicle, they're still the same city of Ontario, and that's also going to be exposed. The entity that's engaged in what is stalking through the police, that drive around in unmarked vehicles, driving around in the Tahoes, driving around in the Crown Victorias, gang stalking on the roads and the highways, things that I've already shown. These are the demons that are doing so as a municipality that's obsessively engaging in what is a satanic campaign. You need to understand the ongoing stalking pursuant to monitoring what demons are doing, which is relevant to criminal activity as I'm prosecuting it with tangible evidence. This is speaking to obsession. This is speaking to actual mental illness. The mental illness is exhibited in all of the desperate and ongoing. Even you're getting to what is now delusional. You're doing it in front of everyone. The entity is doing it, and I want to be clear, even while the entity is engaging in what is targeting me as a federal government that's engaging in voyeurism, I'm going to prosecute the federal government. This is not going without any consequence because the federal government is corrupt. I'm going to expose the federal government. People like Fields are going to prison. He's going to federal prison. The entities engaging in the pattern of conduct in Jason Fields would not have been able to target me but for the corruption already of the federal government. He's nothing other than a puppet. He's a youngin, a baby, if you will, very easily used with regard to targeting. In other words, he's an ignoramus. Okay, he's basically treated like a child who was used, and that's not a defense for him. I'm speaking to the fact that this system has been underway for ages, and he is somebody that is very young compared to those that have been engaging in it for years, and he was used with regard to targeting me in particular, and it was very easy to recruit him, if you will, regarding having sex with an elder like Tracy Banks, somebody that is mentally I will say predisposed to that, being a demon, engaging in what is a demonic system of targeting somebody else. This is a federal officer. This is, in other words, a demon that is cloaked in the flesh of a person that's in the federal government. This is not a legitimate federal officer. These are terms and phrases and identities that have actual significance. The government is literally created for the purpose to serve and protect, not surveil and violate. The entity that is abusing these positions are engaging in that which is totally antithetical to the very purpose. So when I'm stating that a police officer is gang stalking, I am speaking to what is a criminal circumstance that has to be met with what is federal law, prison, terrorism, because that malice is what is illustrated there. And that's why Satan is doing it in that manner, because those that are in law enforcement that are supposed to be serving a specific role, they're engaged in the exact opposite, and that's why they take that role, because they are immediately given and assigned, first of all, authority that they don't actually have because of the reality of what they're engaging in, and they're also given what is discretion, which they abuse, and also legitimacy. They are presumed to be truth sayers. They are presumed to be legitimate. They are presumed to be on the right side of the law, enforcing the right, doing good. That's why Satan is engaging and using them. And it is the same with the federal level. You are not an actual federal officer when you are exposed as the Nephilim, first of all, and you're exposed as the criminal engaging in this targeting system. And that's why Satan in particular has used what is the government to engage in what is targeting American citizens. This is about what is actually spiritual warfare. It just so happens to be that it's the government, and that's, again, one of the most effective means that Satan is using, a demonic spirit is using. So this is getting to the rationale behind why Satan did the thing, why Satan is doing what he's doing in the way in which he's doing it. Because a corrupt government is the most effective means of affecting every household, the nuclear family, society at large, even influencing through social media. The same level is what is affecting other people at a distance on the internet, where they're engaging in what is the same pattern of conduct on the venue of the internet. Spiritual activity is underway online via devices. It's demonic. Okay, and so this is how this is spreading, and it's relevant to what is criminal conduct. I'm not going to be in court giving a legal argument about the spiritual darkness. That's irrelevant in court. It's only relevant insofar as when you get to the point of the case, when you are coloring the crime, when you're getting to the horror that an American citizen is experiencing, which you cannot quantify, which you cannot calculate. You can't put a dollar amount on that. It's also never been contemplated under federal law because the government that's been engaged in this for decades has kept it an unspoken secret system, and that is relevant to its the way that it exists. It's spiritual. These are demons. And I've also proven that through the P.O.C. The evidence of a fake son, that's your direct evidence that they're demons. Okay? And you can confirm that yourself. Look at what's over LAPD, over the top of my head, what they're doing, the behavioral pattern that is, and where they're doing it, the environment, the specific environment tailored to me, same time of year, and that'll also give you another angle of looking at what is inevitable and what it is that I told you at the outset. These are demons. And you will not engage in what is interfering with the case like they're doing. They're doing so. They're flying, stalking by planes as I am documenting and laying down the law in real time. That is not witchcraft. These are delusional psychopaths. That's not a return to sender. These are delusion. Their witchcraft doesn't work, and it's not working against me, and it's also not speaking to the fact that it's not going to happen, and because they're still doing it, that's proof that it's not going to happen, and that's proof that it's not happening. These are delusional psychopaths. They're going to prison. They're going to mental asylums, and this is federal law that is going to surround terrorism in this country. In the same way that you are looking and listening to them still engaging it while they are witnessing their real-time exposure, they flew over the top of my head. That is, I want to be clear, the highest threat that the government is posing to American citizens. You have the nerve to, and they've done it hundreds of times. They're just stalking in plain view, stalking, flying in circles, just having a field day. They're going to prison. They're going to federal prison. The entities engaged in this, and they're doing so while they are witnessing their real-time exposure. And that's the same with the psychopaths stalking under a fake sun with engineer light, all manner of sexual violation by raving psychopaths who are all together in a campaign to psychologically torture the one that cannot be psychologically broken down. And while they're stalking the one that cannot be pigeonholed and placed in any sort of corner and stopping the federal case. While they're engaging in harassing the one that will not be silenced, and I'm going to prosecute you, and I'm going to create laws to prosecute you. The entity's engaging in this, and this is where you are looking at their mental illness. You're looking at the evidence of their mental illness. You are literally able, you legitimate medical professionals out there, you are able to use this criminal activity, this documentation, because you can look at it yourself, not just listen to my commentary, but you're going to agree with my commentary. You are just the one that has studies in the medical field, and you can apply the name of the doctrine where I'm referring to when you're looking at the absurd behavior of those that are engaging in criminal activity. Okay, those of you that are in the position to actually diagnose and treat, you are listening to the evidence that's going to be used to diagnose them at the same time. And this is the ability to do so over a whole population, because I've broken it down for you. They're stalking with light. They're stalking in a specific environment tailored to the person that they are psychologically torturing as a population, no matter where the way in which they're engaging it. The demon that's driving by with impossible light all over the sidewalk in all the buildings, okay? Because they are engaging in the same thing. One demon will do so with rich, concentrated light, and another will do so, same environment, because it's not based on the color of their car or how dirty or clean it is or how big or how loud it is or what time of day the fake sun and how bright the fake sun is shining or what side of my person it's on at the same location. By the way, it's not based on any of that. It's demonic. So while they're engaged in the same, substantially same behavior, one vehicle after another, they're engaged in what is varying measures of impossible light activity. It's all impossible light activity. Sunlight is not ricocheting off of your rubber tires, off of your dingy rims, off of your clean, shiny rims. It's not shooting like a laser off of your vehicle, your car door, whether it's white or whether it's dingy gray. It's not shooting off the top of your car, causing light on the roof of the Starbucks at the patio outside while you're across the street driving onto Euclid. It's not causing light activity inside of Starbucks, creating tornadoes of light, moving, vacillating north and south on the walls, creating multiple shadows, creating mirages of light where I can see my shadow in front, driving under the fake sun, being present under the fake sun, reflecting off of the glass inside and outside. None of that is naturally occurring. It's relevant to what are demons that surround, demons that are maintaining presence in that environment while they're monitoring you. Being present and making noise in that environment is how they are monitoring. And that is the evidence of their mental illness. The presence of that very environment is present for their group, their cooperative targeting purposes. That is the evidence of their mental illness. That is, you are not only assessing mental illness based on what they're doing, the fact that they're there. Okay? Also the fact that they are in denial about it, because they will deny the reasons as to why they're there. And it's not to fill up your gas tank. But this is what they'll state, because that's what they're engaging in. And while they're doing so, all manner of the impossible light in the fake sun, and the government is stalking in planes and helicopters. The entity is engaged in that you are going to diagnose mental illness actually based on, and I'm not telling people how to practice law, but I'm stating this is how you're analyzing it, because this is the malice of the demon possessed, of what Satan is doing. They're engaging in what is behavior. Their behavior is shown through what is in the environment. The environment is relevant to their behavior, not just what they're doing in that environment. They are not filling up their gas tank. They are maliciously targeting and psychologically harming and sexually violating in an environment conducive for them to do so maliciously, while on the surface an unintelligent observer, an ignorant onlooker, is just looking at somebody filling up their gas tank and driving by on the street. That's malicious. That's where you're getting into the substance of that mental illness based on that behavior. The behavior is identified through the malice of the activity that is underway, designed to harm another person. The malice regarding that environment that surrounds what they want to appear as innocent behavior. And it's not innocent at all. And the wealth of evidence is speaking to what is unreasonable to state anything otherwise. It's unreasonable. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in that, and that's where you are diagnosing mental illness, not based on, well, they state that they're just claiming filling up their gas tank, and that's all we see is filling up their gas tank. The entity, you're looking at the malice of the pattern of conduct, and everyone is able to see that. So I'm arguing both sides. Okay, that's what you're listening to me do, and this is how you are assessing mental illness, by the malice. You're looking at you're listening to them still engaging in that, and they're doing so in the face of everyone knowing the truth, everyone seeing what they're doing, everyone understanding the purpose of what they're doing as they're doing it, and what they intended versus what they're actually accomplishing. And what are you actually accomplishing when the target individual is standing on the mountaintop and is under no circumstances having any plans to stop prosecuting and proving? And that is bearing negatively on no American citizen's character, and certainly not mine. The entity will never be able to criminally defame another American citizen. And it's not any sort of activity that bears reflection on the character of the target individual in the first place. This is requiring corruption, the same corruption that is exhibited by Mike Lorenz and Shannon Dykes, that are engaging in kidnapping together, like I'm showing today under the fake sun during the 7 a.m. hour, that remain stationary at that same parking lot, contrary to what's happening when a kidnapping occurs under the same environment. The fake sun moves as I am moved, that is a kidnapping, by the Ontario police from the 507 North Euclid Avenue address, Starbucks, to what is the venue of 9500 Etowanda Avenue, the West Valley Detention Center, where they're engaged in criminal monitoring surveillance. Meaning, you know that I didn't violate, you know that the Ontario police are targeting. They're not innocently engaging in what is targeting. These are demons as well. You know all of that based on the environment. And the scientific impossibility that the sun is both remaining stationary, like I documented this morning, and also moving in real time, and to be under both, because you're going to refer to both, to be both over the Ovid Family Community Library at 12:51 p.m., like it is over me at the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department West Valley Detention Center at 12:51 p.m., where I'm kidnapped on that day, leaving the city of Ontario, leaving Starbucks on Euclid Avenue, where I just left that venue after 10 o'clock in the morning, and that fake sun is still sitting idle there, okay? Both are not happening at the same time. And the entity is also keeping the fake sun over my hotel room at Economy Inn at 12:51 p.m. The entity is gang stalking me at the grocery outlet behind my hotel room at Economy Inn at 12:51 p.m. The entity is keeping the fake sun over me in March of 2025, where San Bernardino County is gang stalking me at Woodside Senior Apartments, where the fake sun is situated over me. That is Tracy Banks' apartment, the same apartment where they committed kidnapping with the kidnappers of the Ontario Police on July 5th, 2025. 12:51 p.m. Surrounding the demons with what is the evidence, which is proving both their mental illness and their criminal activity. These are the same demons that are targeting me in the middle of the night, smelling like feces, smelling like urine and dumpsters at the same time, and they're touching me while they are stalking on behalf of predators and delusional psychopaths like Mike Lorenz, stalking me in the middle of the night, stalking me from place to place in helicopters, and doing so because you're frightened to death of my power and my ability to call you out as a demon and also prove it with tangible evidence and prosecute you for surveillance because you're scared of that, and because you are bound under a contract to kill somebody that you never should have been keeping under surveillance in the first place. You're going to federal prison. You're going to federal prison, and you're also going to be subject to regular mental examinations. And this is how you are assessing mental illness. This is how you're assessing mental illness, and I'm breaking down what is the malice of what they're engaging in. Understand this. Legitimate mental health or legitimate medical professionals. I'm not talking to the demons that are going to be removed from those professions. I'm not talking to the demons in California. This is what you're paying attention to, because this is how they're engaging what is deceiving the masses, and it's Satan. It's Satan. Satan, but I want to be clear, Satan is crafty. Satan is manipulative. Satan is not intelligent, because Satan's desperation, it trumps intelligence. Okay? You're more desperate than you are brainy, because you will go to a desperate extent to engage in something which is absolutely foolish because you're so desperate. This is how you have this obvious stupidity that I'm capturing on an ongoing basis, and it's putting them in cages. You're going to prison. The entity is chasing American citizens down, and then you think that you're going to sit in court, or you think that you're going to, when you're scared and you're a sacrifice that you made unto Satan, trying to murder someone, in other words, doing so as a corrupt official, because your sex partner that's as old as your mother and your grandmother wanted you to do so, and you thought that you were going to steal my money and property, and you thought that this grandma was going to take my identity, and you two were going to have tantric sex on some expensive mattress at my cost while I'm kidnapped somewhere, so those kidnappers can murder me in my cell and then blame me for it. State that I killed myself with my bed sheets. The entity is engaging in this, and this is what Jason Fields is going to prison for. Okay? And Jason Fields is going to prison, and there is nothing that's changing that consequence. There was never any legitimate investigation. This is what I want you to understand. This has been targeting since I've been a child. They were not learning anything from Tracy Banks. The government's been engaged in targeting. Tracy Banks been engaged in targeting me with the government that is aware. They're demons. They know about my giftedness. They know about my abilities, and they were threatened by it while I was a child. This is why Tracy Banks is a pedophile, sexually violating. This is how they try to lower your self-worth. This is how they try to interfere with your giftedness. Maybe when you hate yourself so much, you won't believe in yourself, and you won't go toward what is necessarily empowering to enforce your rights like I'm doing. None of those sexually perverted tactics work, though, and Tracy Banks is going into a cage for it, but so is everybody that targeted with her, and it's the U.S. government. It includes Jason Isaac Fields. He is not saving himself. He's going to prison as sure as those demons flew over the top of my head this morning. He's going to federal prison. Okay? He's going to federal prison because he, with determination and ambition, with ongoing zeal, he defamed my character and anticipated that I was going to be dead, 6 feet underground. That's the purpose behind his defaming me and my character, through nothing, no evidence, nothing supporting it. And by gang stalking me, still having no evidence, and then just went ahead and made it up. And you're necessarily corrupting gang stalking in the court listening to that. Because where's Erica Spencer in those court hearings? What notice does Erica Spencer have about my property? That's not a coincidence when you're looking at Amazon Prime, United States Postal Service, gang stalking me on the roads and the highways. This is an elaborate, intricate system of targeting, making sure that I don't have that information while they're keeping me, what they thought, distracted, gang stalking me day and night, which they thought was going to handle the defamation part of the case, while they go ahead and handle stealing my property, having it squared off so they can just have me put away. Jason Fields is going to prison. He's going to federal prison, and so is anybody that is targeting Whitfields at the federal level. The entity, this is exposing what the federal government is engaged in, and it's exposing what the states and the local level, which Paul Leon is exposing. while gang stalking, the 1251 fake son that's over me at West Valley, pursuant to a kidnapping, where I'm outside of the same windows of the Starbucks at 7:15 a.m. The fake son's not supposed to be there. Well, if it's a fake son, it's supposed to be there. But the fake son, with regard to what's, you're supposed to be claiming that the target individual is imagining things. They're supposed to be Delulu. Making up stuff that doesn't make any sense. They're speaking gibberish and nobody understands them. They're off their rocker. Well, that's not working very well when you have hard, tangible evidence of being followed day and night in helicopters. Never mind that you know the name of the police chief. Never mind that you know the name of all the police officers that lied about why they were in your presence, that made up information and have things as thin as, well, they want you to make a purchase and that's why the police are here. No, it's because you're gang stalking under a fake sun, and you know what I'm documenting about it on my device that you're keeping under surveillance under that fake sun that stays outside of that same window hours later, where you are proven again engaging in kidnapping on July 4th, 2025. Ocean is going to prison. All roads lead to prison for her. And so is her co-defendant Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer, Jason Isaac Fields, the demons that are kidnapping as an agency. Because it's the same entity at Economy Inn at Ovid Family Community Library. And that's my point. You are not going to target American citizens. This is what they did with the podcast. This is what, I cannot be any more clear than this, but this is absolutely not going to be tolerated. But this is what they're doing, and this is because you're dealing with the mentally ill. They are not well. They're not well. Stalking in helicopters and planes is letting you know that. And I also want to be clear. It also shows that they're not well because regardless of any sort of blood contract that you have with Satan, you are absurdly psychopathic and delusional to continue engaging on video. So either way, you're prison or death. I don't know about your contract with Satan, but you're going to prison though. This is and you're under those. You're not well under all circumstances. This is evidence regarding mental illness, and this is how you are assessing that. This is what you're paying attention to. This is how you're making that distinction between the propaganda regarding mental health and the actual assessment of mental health that is, again, a threat to the public, a population of mentally ill predators. And they're stalking in a library. It's all concentrated inside of the Ovid. The P.O.C. followed me to this venue. What do you think they're doing? They're sitting around in all the seats in the library. They're inside of the venue in the bathrooms, maintaining surveillance, making sure obsessively, because this is the panic, this is the mania that they're engaging in, and I'll give voice to it. Okay, she's coming. All right, make sure all corners are covered. This is what these demons are focused on, making sure that all the corners are covered, making sure that they're engaging what is presence at all, and they're doing so as absurd psychopaths. They have multiple shadows. The same light activity outside at F Street in Euclid, where they're stalking me all night long, is the same light activity inside of this venue. They go inside of the bathroom stalking. Those are the demons that are obsessed with my vagina, that are engaged in a failed contract with Satan, and they've sacrificed their reputation, they've sacrificed their career, they've sacrificed their freedom in many circumstances because they're going to prison for kidnapping at this venue. Excuse me, I have to take a break. A lot of speaking, but I want to be clear. The entities engaging in this, and this is how you are assessing mental illness. This is also how you are simultaneously exposing public corruption. All right, the entities engaging in this conduct, and they're doing it in furtherance of murder. Everything is committed because the entity has engaged in stalking because they intend to murder that person. Not only are you not going to cash in on that with Satan, you're going to prison. You're going to federal prison, and you're going to federal prison for the millions of people that are stalking with that same criminal objective. Tracy Banks, Jason Fields, Eric Spencer, everybody else that defamed my character. This is how you're going to prosecute targeted individuals that are being targeted by the government. Your family are the first ones that are going to prison. Your fake friends, those social circle, those are the first ones going to prison. The first ones speaking ill on your character, they're going to prison. They're doing so with a population of demons that are actually mentally ill, and they are the ones that are campaigning with regard to counting on your death, that they think they're going to profit from, that they think they're going to avoid justice by completing. Those are the first ones at the line regarding prison. Those are the first ones. Those are the ones that are threatening your life the most regarding the government that needs them to defame your character in criminal acts, which they're calling court hearings currently. And it's not, it's a method of targeting. Those are criminal acts. And it's going from the police to the sheriff to the court. Anybody entertaining targeting by the state, you're going to federal prison. It is currently 10:58.
Look at her shadows. That's a demon. The entity starts sounding the alarm as I begin taking pictures. This is the demon possessed that are indeed monitoring. This is gang stalking inside of the Obit Family Community Library. They are actively and diligently working to block podcast access. This is the mentally ill, and this is the iteration of stalking with light inside of a building. They're all in engineered light. So I'll show you what they're walking in. This is mental illness, just like outside when they're driving vehicles and light is shooting and ricocheting all over the place, above and beside. This is impossible light activity. You can see multiple shadows. That's what the administrative demons are pacing in and out of the door with, stalking with noise. And the alarm is a means of monitoring my device. They're all in engineered light, gang stalking together. These are demons. This is Obit Family Community Library, the City of Ontario's criminal conduct, and they're doing so with those under the age of majority as well, and the fake sun is over the building. This is P.O.C. The alarm goes off with regard to the use of my device. It's 1:05 p.m. And this is relevant to what is federal prison. The entity, this is the same entity that also committed kidnapping. The alarm is a means of audible activity. This is a computer. They're all monitoring together. And what is engineer light? This is the desk where you see engineer light, where the employees are indeed gang stalking after 5 p.m., where the fake sun is still present, and engineer light is shooting through like the sun is still going to be here, and sunlight is also going to shoot through like a laser. Another iteration of stalking with light, which is what the mentally ill practice while they're monitoring. This is ongoing ceaseless gang stalking, and I'll show you the fake sun that the mentally ill are under while they're engaging in surveillance, including in the bathroom. This is a demon that's stalking in the path. Engineer light is on the elevator up there. See that? That's engineer light concentrated. She's monitoring while she's walking downstairs, monitoring while walking in. This is Simba Center. Gang stalking surveillance is underway in the bathroom. Simba Center engaging in monitoring in concert with the same venue. Communication device in hand, fake sun over the roof. The entity sounds that alarm as I started taking pictures of all those demons. This is the fake sun. The fake sun is here as I'm capturing at 10 o'clock in the morning. The fake sun is here while I'm inside of that parking garage at 7:55 a.m. Those are all demons, and the alarm is audible activity, and they're all focusing on my podcast, which the entity is very much fearful of. Jason Fields is going to prison. Everybody that's referred to in that podcast is relevant to and interested in blocking publishing it, including Simba Center that are gang stalking. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 1:07 p.m. Simba Center is engaged in the sex offensive monitoring me at Economy Inn. That evidence is used with regard to the state of California and every business, including when they claim to be engaged in services to the homeless, and they're gang stalking the same in furtherance of murder. P.O.C. Here's my shadow, and here's another shadow. All right? And the entity maintains this ongoing light activity. Here's my shadow again, pacing, moving in front of me. Right? There's another one moving in front of me. They're monitoring. This is mental illness and it's malice. P.O.C.
From military life to civilian life. Veterans are invited to share their stories through one-on-one interviews. Document what it was like to serve in the military through this oral history project and create empathy for the veteran experience. Recording sessions will be happening in the main meeting room until 3 p.m.
That's audible activity in engineer light. You can see the video evidence of my shadow, two of them on the left side of my person pacing in front of me and reappearing behind and pacing in front of me. It's also occurring under the fake sun and in this environment where I've already documented the impossible light that's vacillating all across. And they're doing so pursuant to what is monitoring my use of computer station number 2, while a bunch of demons that are co-conspirators with the City of Ontario in murder, gang stalking with the employees and the patrons alike. The veteran so-called administrative representative, whatever he's a vagina monitoring demon. He's downstairs, documented, already engaged in gang stalking. He's a psychopath. He stalks with ongoing noise with the demons, gang stalking on the first floor. The so-called veterans that come in gang stalking, they're engaging in the P.O.C. together. That announcement is audible activity in the specific environment, and it's under the fake sun that I also captured on video. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon where that fake sun is over this building, and the announcement regarding veterans is the malice behind gang stalking demons. And that's also letting you know that the veterans in California are demons engaging in criminal monitoring and furtherance of murder. Un-American and also criminal and satanic. It's 1:14 p.m. P.O.C. All right, the demons gang stalking via computer stations 1 through 4 with the exception of mine because I'm on number 2. psychopaths sitting around stalking with noise while they're monitoring what I'm doing on my device. They're all in the engineered end light. They're all under the fake sun. These are the psychopaths that are stalking on the roads and the highways, coming into the library to engage in gang stalking a woman whose genitalia they're also keeping under surveillance, and they're also engaging in surveillance regarding an ongoing investigation while they're stalking on behalf of the government. The entity is engaged in what is monitoring, and there is no claim by Spotify claiming that they're having any issues with their website that is going to rebut the ongoing gang stalking and surveillance on communication devices on the internet. That is the entity that's speaking to having issues via Spotify, and that's the reason for the interference with blocking the podcast audio from being published in the ordinary way, which with a very simple free account. Also, in the absence of Spotify's any notification to any of its users that pay a lot of money, have a lot of money invested in using that platform, and there's no notice about it. So it's only affecting me. It's not affecting a large amount of people. It doesn't even matter how many people, because you're talking about what are millions of people that are monitoring in the country. So it's not about numerosity, but I'm just speaking to the implausibility regarding what Spotify, the entity, is stating on the internet while these demons are sitting around being demons stalking with noise, okay? Doing so with Obit Family Community Library that are gang stalking demons as well, pacing in and out of the administration doors while a bunch of demons are sitting around staring at computer monitors, monitoring evidence on the video of the internet. This is mental illness, okay, that they suffer from as demons that are sitting around stalking somebody and doing so with regard to witnessing their exposure and the absurdly psychopathic conduct that they practice with regard to what is a failed sacrifice. But it is relevant to what is federal prison for the gang stalkers at Ovid Family Community Library who facilitate violence, sexual violence, harassment, and terrorism in furtherance of murder while they're monitoring on the internet. And the entity is doing so specifically as I'm logging into Spotify on the ordinary Chrome browser, not able to get into the login. So I go into incognito where these demons, as I go to a different page, stalk it with noise. As I go to a different page, stalk it with noise. As I engage in a new act, once you engage in that one act and they've monitored it, they're doing so with light, pacing around, doing so with noise, the elements of monitoring, audible activity, light activity, and relevant positioning. And it's a federal offense. The government has no warrant to have psychopaths stalking you in the library in the specific environment on behalf of the government. There's no warrant for that, and you need a warrant to engage in any means, including a satanic means of surveillance. In doing so in furtherance of murder, there's no warrant that's going to be provided for that. This is criminal conduct by the government, okay? And the government that is acting with a bunch of demons who are stalking in a library that disguises itself as a family community venue, and it is no such thing. The families of demons are engaging in sexual violence in the bathroom with a bunch of predators that sit around staring at books and communication devices while they're monitoring me. And they're doing it as mentally ill under a fake sun. Okay, the same fake sun that's still present as I'm walking out at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That fake sun was at that same entrance at 4 o'clock yesterday, which was the 19th. The substance of the podcast that these demons are sitting around trying to obstruct from being published, and Spotify is speaking to an admission regarding obstruction, not helping in the demons that are going to prison for ongoing gang stalking in furtherance of obstruction. I want to be clear on that. As I go to the incognito tab, then I'm able to log in, and these demons are engaging with a stalking with noise and doing so. When you're holding up your hand and you can see two of them and you only have one, all right, the entities in engineered light, that's what they're doing when they're engaging what is harassment, stalking with light, being a mentally ill psychopath by keeping your head down and not looking at the person that you're stalking and monitoring. That's evidence of mental illness, not innocence. And the entity is doing so as a government system, gang stalking as a population, and it's underway ceaselessly inside of the Obit Family Community Library at 215 E.C. Street. A bunch of demons are engaging what is surveillance inside of this library, and the video documentation speaking to the environment where they're engaging what is harassing, inherently stalking with noise, stalking in the bathroom, stalking around the bathroom, stalking in the sky space above the venue that has a bathroom inside of it where your genitalia is under surveillance, doing so as a psychopathic and delusional population that are being in real time exposed and are putting federal officials in prison for this criminal conduct, because this is what the federal government was cooperating with, and these demons lost total control of the system. It has blown up, and it's blown up on the internet, and I'm going to prosecute them for trying to obstruct justice as though you're going to accomplish the sacrifice. You're not, and you're going to prison for doing so, because this is what American citizens are subject to, and they don't have a voice. Nobody knows about it, and they die under mysterious circumstances that the government doesn't speak about. Okay, it's 3:23 p.m. This is obstruction while the entity is monitoring on the internet. It's P.O.C. All right, the entity is gang stalking Yesenia, Lindsay, Talia, very mentally disturbed. Okay, she has particularly angry demons on her, where she's stalking me with noise and stalking in the path, engaging what is pacing in and out of the administration doors. The demons are gang stalking. Those are the ones that are employed here that are engaging in it. And Sean Thrasher, whether he's on the clock or not, he's going to prison. This is under his watch, where he's engaged in kidnapping. While this criminal system is underway, he's going to prison. And these gang stalking employees of the venue are gang stalking with these demons sitting around. This is psycho conduct. They're sitting around at the computer desktops, listening to me document them, sitting around stalking with noise. What does that? Barbarians, animals do that. These are demons that are cloaking themselves in flesh and blood. This is the Nephilim sitting around being psycho, stalking the wrong person. It's 3:25 p.m. This is P.O.C., just to name some of the demons that are employed at the venue, gang stalking with the patrons. Okay, I just want to show you what the sex offense of stalking with light appears as. This is my shadow appearing in front of me. This is the fake sun in front of me inside of the same venue where I arrived this morning. Those are demons and they're stalking. They know where I'm at. They know what I'm saying. And they also know what I'm doing on my device. This is my shadow behind me. And let me show you something else, because these demons are monitoring while I walk through the library. All right, this is my shadow here. This is my shadow here, and this is my shadow over here. This is not the sun, it's not sunlight. This is designed for a population to engage in monitoring, and they're all demons. This is the same library where I arrived at 10 o'clock, after 10 o'clock. That's my shadows appearing over there. All right, this is the pattern of conduct. This is the entity that engaged in what is absolutely intolerable under federal law. American citizens that are being gang stalked, and then the government thinks, the demons, the people of the state themselves think that they're going to block your evidence, putting it on the internet, where you're going to blow the whistle so that the feds know where you're at, what the entity is doing so under the fake sun. The Ontario Board, Ronald Loveridge, Julia Gu, Jim Bowman, Alan D. Wapner, the entity that's gang stalking the Ontario Police Department, Mike Lorenz, Paul Leon. This is a demon. The Ontario City Hall is right here. This is monitoring, amplified plane activity, a psychopath sitting right in front of you monitoring. Just like at Starbucks, opening and closing the door, light reaching all the way out here. And this is psychopathic conduct that demons engage in when they've lost secrecy, they've lost the ability to engage in it. The Ontario City Hall is right there. The fake sun's over my head at that venue at 10 o'clock in the morning, and over my head, like I documented yesterday, at 12:51 in the afternoon. And Paul Leon is aware that the entity is stalking using planes, flying over the venue where a fake sun is remaining, and this is ongoing monitoring. These are sex offenders, boys and girls, males and females, monitoring vagina together, holding, clutching children while doing so. This is a corrupt and sexually perverted population. Driving an engineer light, this is evidence of mental illness. Okay, this is the same circus environment I documented right on the opposite side of the same apartment building, downtown Ontario luxury apartment. Sarah Regis is going to be prosecuted. The entity is engaging what is stalking me by flying over this apartment building while I'm on the south side of it. This is the entity that's stalking by flying over me under the fake sun that's over. This is the same apartment building you saw this morning. Arco's right over there. It is currently, by the way, 5:19. The entity has the fake sun over me as I'm arriving before 11 o'clock. The entity is engaging what is keeping a fake sun, and the gang stalker himself, Paul Leon, is being removed from office. He is a demon. He is of the same Nephilim. He's sharing a criminal conduct with these demons outside. P.O.C. All right, this is the entity that's engaging that, and it is, by the way, 5:20 p.m. That's engineer light. That's both inside and outside. And it's also not the sun. And on the inside, you'll see engineer light moving across the ceiling inside. These are the demons that do not mind going to prison. Sean Thrasher, he does not mind going to prison, and that's exactly where he belongs. The entity's engaging what is stalking by helicopters, doing so while I'm clearing my cache, and while they're monitoring on the internet, blocking the podcast being published, while they are engaged in an ongoing endeavor to murder someone that they're stalking, and doing so in the psychopathic manners that includes the evidence of mental illness of a population, stalking with light. P.O.C. These are monitoring demons. Paul Leon's being removed from office. This is P.O.C. It doesn't get any more clear than the gang stalking mayor and the office associated with that mayor being feet away from where the fake sun is in the morning time. That's a demon calling himself a mayor. Paul Leon is no mayor. He's being removed. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5:21 p.m. These are males that monitor female genitalia over and under the age of majority. And the city of Ontario welcomes that. That's why they are stalking by planes and helicopters. They're sharing in that sexual violence. This is P.O.C.